Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show. The show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 64 of the Arcade Repair Tips live show for June 2022. My name is Jonathan Leung. I'm the producer, director, and editor of the Arcade Repair Tips video series, and joining me today as always is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson, in the flesh.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. A little hot. You know, everybody talks about Texas being hot, but it's, I think, hot for us, like this time of year. It seems extra hot. Yeah. Or maybe we just skipped spring and just jumped right into summer.
Well, it did actually cool off a little bit, and it's supposed to cool off a little bit. Hopefully it's very nice and pleasant where you are, but yes, this May has been more hot than usual, I would say.
Well, I think New York spoiled me. 56 degrees, 60 degrees, you know. Yeah, I think that spoiled me a little bit.
So obviously, Tim, you went to New York since the last live show, so tell us about how that went.
Well, it was a great trip. I was upstate New York. If you live up in the Rochester, Syracuse area, I was Webster. I was up in that area, which is just Jonathan, I forget how pretty it is. It's kind of summery there, but it's like early spring here. Like everything was blooming, lots of green, tons of trees and grass, and just... I wish I'd get in trouble probably for driving and taking pictures in my car, so I didn't take as many as I'd like to. But just all these old barns and cool, look like puzzles, like you're taking pictures of puzzle pieces or something all around. So if you live up in that area, you really live in a... Now the gas and stuff was a little more expensive here in Texas, and food was about the same, I think. And I had some really good food. Had some great Italian food. I think I've come up with a new restaurant concept. I liked one. Maybe we'll talk about that in the after show. But a great visit. If you live up in that area, I know why people live there. Now, I wasn't there when there were 3 feet of snow probably in the winter. Right. But definitely a great place to visit in the spring and the summer.
Now, Tim, you not only went there, but you also went to El Paso, Texas, correct?
Yes, I was in El Paso, and I did get to go to arcade there that I had a couple times. I actually enjoyed it so much I went back and watched a game there and played some pinball and stuff. So kind of, you ever just go play a pinball game, you kind of get in the pinball fever again. I was like, man, I really liked Stranger Things. I will say that about it. That's one of my favorite pinballs that I played in a while. And, of course, the new season's out. Been watching that. Been thinking about playing the pinball. Man, it's like, oh, if I bite the bullet on a new pinball, that may be a Stranger Things before long. But anyway, it was a two good trips overall. Getting ready to go to Orlando. If you're in that area, please let me know. I would love to visit with somebody or play some games. Find a good arcade bar or something to hang out in. So let me know if you're in those areas. Northern Orlando, I should say, is where I'll be, near Leesburg, somewhere like that. Anyway, so lots of traveling these days. Probably about 25% of my job right now is travel. But anyway, how you been?
I'm good. So I will say that, Tim, the reason I know Tim went to El Paso is you actually shot me pictures of the place that you went to, the arcade there. So he will be talking about that. Instead of doing a tech tip this month, Tim, we're going to do a Tim's travel segment.
Oh, good. I'd like to, because that was a cool concept and setup. I really liked it. And good food.
Right, so you get to take us on your journey to this arcade bar that he went to in El Paso. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. Of course, guys, we will be covering your questions as we always do. We've got several of them over the past month that we'll be covering here on the show, Tim. So we hope that you stay tuned for those. And Tim, we have the live chat here tonight, and looks like we have a good crew already. We have Delusionals Arcade says hi all. We have the Real Hammer Billy Lee is here. Mr. Dwayne79 is here. YouTube Punk, of course, Tim. Encore MPW says I'm here before it kills me. And you'll notice that tonight's episode title, Tim, is This Thing Is Trying to Kill Me. We will talk about that a little bit as we go on. We always like to pick titles, guys, that kind of go along with the questions that we're going to be answering. So, Tim, as you can imagine, there's some people who think these things are trying to kill them. So we're going to talk about that here in a bit.
I think I've owned that game before, I think.
There you go. Let's see. YouTube Punk says Texas is extra crispy right now, Tim.
Yes.
So we're supposed to get a cold front coming through our part of Texas, Tim, but that doesn't mean all of Texas. Tim, as he mentioned, was in El Paso. That's actually on the far side from where we are.
Yeah.
So the far west side. We're on the far east side.
It was 97 there one day, And, everybody says, oh, it's a dry heat. Go stick your head in an oven, put it on 97. That's what it was like. It was, I don't dry, humid, I don't care. 97 was hot for this time of year to me. But anyway, definitely got to enjoy the hotel pool one day.
There you go. Danny's here. Hi, guys. Nice seeing you. Let's see again. Nice having a show on my 48th birthday today.
Oh, happy
birthday, Danny.
Way to go, Danny.
How does the Chuck E. Cheese song go? Happy birthday, Grandma.
We're so glad you came.
Something. Forgot it completely.
Feliz cumpleaños day Chucky.
Been working on your Spanish.
Been in El Paso.
So yes, happy birthday to Danny.
Yeah.
Glad you're celebrating your birthday with us. I mean, you could celebrate your birthday a lot of ways, but this is the best way, in our opinion. So there we go. Let's see. Okay, I think we're caught up here.
Okay.
Are we good?
Let's go.
So remember that you can interact with us during the show in the live chat, guys. We try to get in all the questions there as we go through the show. So if you do have questions, comments, any kind of things, maybe we'll take polls from time to time. Make sure that you respond in the live chat if you are watching us live. And we're so glad to have you all here tonight. It's always great to have a good audience for the show. You guys make the show, in my opinion. So always glad to have you here. Anyway, Tim, I think we're about done with all kind of the pre-show kind of stuff. So let us go ahead and move on to our questions for this month. And the first one we have here, Tim, is from Lori. Oh, wrong one. And Lori says, wondering if you can help me figure out where to get a replacement bulb for the main screen on my very old Galaga cocktail cabinet. I just watched some of your videos and feel brave enough to open it up, but I am concerned with potentially toxic chemicals. Do the main bulbs inside have harmful chemicals? When it blew, it made a weird sound and visible smoke. Honestly, I unplugged it right then and have done nothing with it. LOL. Thank you for your help. Lori from Bentonville, Arkansas, which is the headquarters of Walmart, right?
Yes.
So there you go. So Tim, we have Lori here, and it looks like she's having problems with her Galaga. Now she calls it a bulb, and I think we're probably thinking that you're talking about the tube.
Yeah.
So considering that you're saying, the way you're talking about like monitor and stuff like this, so probably talking about a monitor tube here, Tim. But she's worried because she's got the courage to open it up, but she's worried that there may be some toxic chemicals or something in there, Tim. I don't know. I don't know what you think about that. Obviously, we're around these things all the time, Lori. So I can tell you, from personal experience so far, I don't think we've really had any bad interactions per se. We've probably come in contact with something. But Tim, what advice can you give Lori as far as getting her game back up and running?
Well, obviously, anything from that era, all those who watching this who grew up and drank from a water hose and sat in a car without a seatbelt, you survived. Everything's going to be okay. But I would say that there probably is some chemicals in the tube.
We know that there's lead for sure in the tube.
Yes. And so, by all means, you should take precautions. And probably, but we have worked on literally hundreds of them. And you can take that with a grain of salt because you could end up like us.
Right.
Or, so that may be what holds you back. But what I would do is just be super careful when it's plugged in. As long as everything is off, you should be okay. Just be super careful when the game is on and you're up close. By all means, I would, if you want to, wear a mask or something. Try to keep from inhaling. We all have soldered and stuff before and really smelt some bad stuff. Kind of smells like if you've ever caught a milk jug on fire or something, those burning chemical smells. So there is some stuff there that you probably should be careful around. Having said that, most of it is pretty concentrated, and once you get that initial puff or whatever, it kind of goes away pretty quickly. It doesn't linger there too much, and I don't know of too many residual things, but by all means, to each his own. I know I have a lot of allergies and stuff, and just some of the dust and stuff bothers me a lot of times when we're working. I'll start sneezing or whatever. So take whatever precautions you feel are necessary. I don't think that you're in a super risk, but we do want to be cautious when we're working around those things. If you want to wear, of course, now that I wear glasses all the time, Jonathan, I don't think about it as much, but I have had stuff hit my glass before. I'm glad I had them on. So maybe some safety goggles or some splash goggles wouldn't be a bad idea. And maybe if you want to wear some plastic gloves, I've got to wear, now that I wear gloves a lot for work, and, before it seemed so, now I can throw them on and off. I feel like a surgeon now, I've got it down pretty good to where a lot of times when I'm working on a game, I'll put gloves on just because it keeps my hands clean. I can just take them off, throw them away, and I don't have to scrub them for hours and stuff like that. So some, the blue gloves that protect you against chemicals, maybe a mask, maybe some splash goggles, wouldn't be a bad idea, especially if that's a concern of yours. If you have a fear now, we grew up, or when we were working, you've seen our videos with Stan. Stan would probably lick a chassis and not think nothing about it. And, but Stan's just a little crazy like that. But at the same time, I've never seen any of us really have any harm. Michael, as many chassis as he's worked on, I've never seen him wear a mask or take extra precautions, although besides discharging the monitor. So I say be careful, but at the same time, I wouldn't have a huge fear over that. I would think that it's ultra rare.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of times when you guys see us working, you'll see us outside. We usually work on the arcade games in the garage or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've been working over at Tim's garage a lot. So I mean, sometimes we'll work on them inside, but a lot of times we are outside for that. So that kind of dissipates some of that. Like Tim mentioned, you can take additional precautions. You can wear masks. You can wear eye protection. You can wear gloves and things like that. But a lot of us have been working on games forever, like you mentioned, Tim,
right,
and we really haven't had any bad side effects as far as we know. So but like here's the thing: if you do have like a tube implode on you, which it doesn't sound like that doesn't sound like it happened in this case, Lori, but if you do, that's different to me. Like if a tube cracks or something like that, you do need to be more careful around that. But in this particular case, you probably just had some electrical component on the chassis that died. It could have been flyback more than likely.
Or hot or something.
Yeah, with the smoke amount that you're talking about, probably a flyback is what I'm thinking. Could be a cap. It's possible. We've seen them smoke like that.
Mm-hmm.
But flybacks are very common to smoke like that, so probably a flyback. But whatever it is, like Tim mentioned, once it kind of comes out of there, it usually is gone. And it's like it's not going to keep blowing smoke, right?
Right.
It's kind of like it'll blow smoke and then it's gone. So at this point, you're probably safe to open the back, and if you want to let it air out a bit, you're probably okay there. And then you can proceed to removing the chassis and doing all the rest of the repairs on it. So, Tim, let me go ahead and put this up so we can see that. So yes, CRT monitors do contain toxic materials such as lead, cadmium, barium, etc. The majority of these materials are in the tube itself and may be released if it becomes damaged, like we talked about. In our experience, it is very difficult to damage a tube that has been properly mounted in an arcade cabinet. Key word there, Tim, properly mounted in an arcade cabinet.
Right.
So, more than likely, the smoke that you saw came from an electrical component on the monitor chassis. Flyback, very common for this, like we mentioned. While the smoke can also be toxic, there's usually not enough of it released to do any harm. And like we talked about, once it's released, like these caps here, some of them probably you can see that they're kind of popping a little bit. Sometimes the smoke comes out of those. Once that smoke is released, it won't continue to release smoke.
Right.
It'll kind of release it and then it's done. So at that point, you should be able to just take it out. So, with the game unplugged right now, you should be able to discharge the monitor, remove the chassis, and then kind of figure out what's going on with it.
Right.
So.
I would say if you did this for a living and you did nothing but 8 hours a day worked on chassis, you probably should be a little bit more cautious. But for the average collector that's just going to work on a chassis every once in a while, I would say it probably is very minimal, any more than you would get anywhere else in town or going to the going outside. You're just, as long as you're not in a confined space, like you said. It was a good point, Jonathan, about a lot of times we always would have, if nothing else for the heat, we'd have garage doors open, fans on or whatever. So just be careful. I think it's a great, I love this question because I think maybe sometimes we don't want to be flippant about it because we haven't been hurt, 999 times, that 1 out of 1,000 time. We do want to be careful. I had a cap explode near my ear one time, and pretty much had ringing in my ears for about 3 days. But the game was on, like I said. So be careful with the game on. I think you're a lot more trouble than you are once it's off. Something fails, it usually dissipates pretty quickly.
Sounds good. So, Lori, hopefully that answers your question, and good luck with the repair. What did she say she had here, Tim? On your Galaga cocktail cabinet.
Oh, nice.
So that's a little bit different, too, because, when you open up a cocktail cabinet, it's pretty wide open, especially a Galaga like that, because the way that the top of it kind of folds over on that hinge, you have a pretty open space for all of that. So, once you open it up, anything that's in there should dissipate pretty quickly. So,
but a great question nonetheless. you got to understand, we grew up in that era where we just really didn't think about stuff like that, and probably should have in some instances.
Yeah, Tim, I watched HBO Max documentaries, guys, that get me all the time. One I've been watching the ones on makeup, and the one about the talc and how they can't separate asbestos from talc and stuff like that. I mean, but like all of us grew up with baby powder, right? I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, by the time my daughter was born, we kind of knew better. But when I was growing up, man, it's like baby powder was a thing, right?
Yeah.
So, let's see what we got here. Delusionals Arcade says, flyback went poof on that bulb, aka tube. And he says, I'd be more concerned about discharging the monitor.
Right.
Yeah, probably. Let's see. Just catching up here. Did anyone consider it was just a ninja hiding it? Or, let's see. I'm trying to catch up here, Tim.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry, but I'm looking here. So, okay, I think we're good.
Okay.
So I think I see YouTube Punk and Delusionals Arcade kind of talking back and forth here. So I'll let them talk, and we will move on from Lloyd's question to Matt's question, Tim.
Okay.
So here we go. Matt says, "Hi, my name is Matt, and I recently picked up a 24.8-inch MacVision Arcade CRT monitor. I was installing it, I plugged it in, and it started blowing fuses on the degaussing coil.
Okay.
The previous owner had pushed it in between the brackets. So I'm assuming, by the way that's phrased, Tim, I'm assuming he pushed the degaussing coil in between the brackets, maybe when he was trying to install the monitor or something like that. I just wonder if there's a way to repair that or what I should do about that. Thank you." So it sounds like it is popping fuses because the degaussing coil is shorting, somehow. And he thinks it's because it got pinched between the brackets at some point. Okay, so what do you think he should do in this case? What can Matt do in order to repair the degaussing coil?
Okay, well, assuming we're talking about the one that's built in around the tube and stuff. So most of the time, any kind of wires that get pinched and they're bare, that they're going to do that. Fortunately, you don't really need it. Right. If you have your own degaussing coil, he could just unplug it from where it goes into the board, and you could just use a wand, and once you did that, occasionally you'd probably just fine. Or you could literally just repair the wire just like we do any other wire. You would strip it back, use some heat shrink tubing across it, solder it back together, put the tube back over it, shrink it back up. If it was me, I probably would try to repair it just because it's there and it's not that hard to fix. It's pretty quick. Or I'd just be lazy and just unplug it. If it didn't make a difference and you don't move the game, you probably won't even notice it. But it kind of depends on the game and where you have it stored, which one I would do. But one of the two, I would either just quickly repair a broken wire, which we've got videos that show us talk about wiring and how to do that. Or I would just get another a handheld degaussing wand, which is really good to have around anyway. I know we have some recommendations on those, and I would just occasionally degauss it if it needed it.
Yeah, and Tim, the thing is that the degaussing coil is pretty basic. There's not a lot to it. If it did get pinched in a certain area, you should just be able to go in, and even you don't necessarily even have to necessarily repair it. More likely, just wrap it with some electrical tape right there, because when it got pinched, it may have just exposed it, so that may be hitting like some metal or something else, shorting something else. And so if you can just fix that one area by wrapping some electrical tape or something else around it, it'll probably work.
Right.
I don't think there's anything to it. Like I said, it happens all the time because that degaussing coil, it doesn't. A lot of times, it's not like zip tied on. It's just kind of laying on the monitor. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'll zip tie them just to make sure they stay in place, but not all the time. Sometimes we'll just lay them up there. And so, like you said, when you're moving it around, sometimes it will pinch in a bracket or something like that. And so, wrapping it with electrical tape usually works fine. And Delusionals Arcade says, wrap the whole thing in electrical tape. Happens to me. Yeah, we've seen this a lot. So I'll go ahead and throw this up here. But Tim, I think you made a good point in the fact that we use degaussing coil interchangeably for external and internal degaussing coil. So let's talk about that for a second as well. So it's important to note that Matt is talking about the built-in degaussing coil that wraps around the monitor tube. And Tim, I have pictures here. So I put the check mark on the one that goes around the tube, and I put the X on the handheld external one. Okay. So this is not to be confused with an external degaussing coil like the one we use in our video on using a degaussing coil. So usually a degaussing coil like the one we're talking about wraps around the monitor tube, and whenever the tube is activated, it powers up the degaussing coil so it can degauss the monitor real quick. So when it first comes on, it can get rid of any of that magnetic interference, is what we're hoping to do. So, with that said, it's possible that part of the degaussing coil was exposed when it got pinched between the brackets. We recommend removing the degaussing coil from the monitor, checking for any exposed areas. You can repair these areas by wrapping them with electrical tape, or if you want to go the heat shrink route, like Tim mentioned, you could do that as well. Reinstall it when you are finished, and see if it still blows the fuse.
Yeah, you guys got a good point with the electrical tape, because most of the time you see the degaussing coil around, it's wrapped all in tape.
Yes, it is.
Already.
Right, because you don't want any of those areas exposed. Like we said, it's very easy they can short with the location that the degaussing coil is in. So any exposed areas can cause a short in a fuse to blow like that. So just make sure that all the areas are wrapped up properly. If you see any areas that may be pinched or damaged, go ahead and just wrap them with some more electrical tape. Get the good stuff. Yep. Don't cheap out on the electrical tape like Tim mentions. 3M or some other quality brand, and then you should be in good shape. So, Tim, anything else for Matt before we move on?
No, I don't think so. It was another good question tonight. So I like the variety tonight.
Sounds good. So, Matt, hopefully that answers your question, and good luck getting that degaussing coil working and to stop shorting out your fuse there. So, okay, Tim, we got a question from Knights of Old. He says, could you talk about how to keep your arcade in an unheated, conditioned garage safely? So it says unheated condition. So, where do you live somewhere cold? Would be my question.
Yeah, how cold are we talking? Or, there's like I was talking about upstate New York cold, and then there's Antarctic or Alaska cold. That I would probably, as long as there's some kind of insulation in there, it doesn't get below 0. I think 20 degrees or so would be really cold. I think that as long as it doesn't get too cold in there, or just by playing it, some would probably help with that. But if you're in a situation where it does stay under freezing for most of the winter and you are concerned about that, then you probably could look at some insulation, particularly. But you got to understand, most of the components. And maybe we should shoot a video on this, Jonathan, sometime. Just check the temperature, use a thermometer or whatever, see what it's actually inside of your game, because those are pretty hot boxes to begin with. So you're probably adding 10 or 15, 20 degrees, I would think, just from it being closed up like that. So as long as everything stays closed up and intact. I've worked on plenty of games out here in Texas. We don't normally get that cold, but I can think of a Miss Pac-Man I worked on this winter. It was literally snow on the ground. It was really cold that day, and it fired up and worked just fine. I don't think you have a major problem unless it's for a long period of time, like days and days and days. If you live somewhere where you can ice skate, that might be a good determination. If you ever ice skated near your house, then you might look at, and then of course you could get a portable heater or something just to keep a little chill out of the room. But I think you'd be pretty safe on most things. Now, but like I said, keeping any cracks, if your back door is not secured very good, or your front door is coming open, keeping that thing closed up for the most part. And like I said, you're talking to two guys who aren't experts in cold weather at all. So if you guys live up north and you want to chime in some things that you might do, but I would think that any type of heat, if it's that cold and you don't want to go down and play it, then maybe it needs some kind of heater in there or whatever. But for the most part, they should. Most of them I've ever seen withstand the cold pretty good.
No, he says he's in Seattle, usually not below 30 degrees. Can get hot, though. So here's the deal. You're not getting as hot as we are, though.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, we get up to 100. Like, during August, they count the number of days we're above 100. Usually that's more than 45.
Right.
And so we're above 100 degrees here, probably 45 days consecutively out of the year. Mm-hmm. And so during that time, we've worked on games. We never had any problem with them. The opposite would hold true if you want to keep the back of the arcade open, to let it air out a little bit more. Something we always recommend is installing fans, Tim, in your game to make sure that you get good airflow. Yeah. So, if you're in a hot climate, or if you think it's going to be a hot time, Seattle, compared to where we are, is a little bit more mild. It's probably more in the middle than we are, Tim, as far as the hot goes. Mm-hmm. So, but we do try to install fans and good airflow through our games, no matter what, especially cocktail cabinets, because they're a little bit more compressed. Big arcades, there's more room in there for the heat to kind of, get out, but in a cocktail cabinet, it's all kind of compressed down. So in that, you definitely want to have some fans or something to get that airflow through there. But if it's in a garage, seen several garages and several people do this where we insulate even the garage door, Tim. We insulate the garage door, we insulate the garage, and then we put a window unit in. That does heating and cold, and so it costs a little bit to do that, but it will keep your games in better shape.
I think so, and I'm pulling a Biden right now. I've lost my train of thought there for a second.
We were talking about hot and cold.
Yeah, but I have
window units insulation.
We have definitely had the problems with the hot more than anything. Any game that has kind of been a grail or something personally I knew I was going to keep for a while, I usually added more fans always because it seemed like they never ran. And then it kind of depends on the game. Like pole position, man, you could have 10 fans in that thing and it'd still give you a hard time. But so other games seem to just handle the heat a little bit better. But by all means, even cold or hot, a little airflow really helps.
Absolutely. So Knights of Old, hopefully that answers your question. Josh is here. Tim, he says, hey guys, my first live show in a while. Sadly, glad to see you guys are doing them. Josh in Victoria, Texas.
Hey, Josh.
How's it going? Let's see. Danny says, I've had all my arcades in my garage and do keep some kind of heat in the winter, but I don't have problems with them. I live in Indiana. Yeah, you see, in most cases, you're going to be within the operating temperature, Tim, of what these electronics are made to handle. If you're outside of that operating temperature, that's when things can get a little rough. So if you're above 110 degrees Fahrenheit, I would say, or if you're below 0 for consecutive periods of time, then that may cause some issues at that point. But as long as you're kind of in between those, you're probably okay for the most part.
I would think so. If you had an arcade in your town growing up, you're probably okay.
Yeah, exactly. So he also says, any tips on where to get awesome, colorful 70s, 80s arcade-style rugs and carpet, Tim? There was a place. I've seen Wayfair carries some of that.
Yeah, Wayfair.com. Wayfair and Amazon.
I was trying to think. Amazon carries some of that stuff too. There used to be a commercial catalog that we get that stuff from back when we actually were operators. Do you remember that?
I'm thinking.
I can't remember the name of the catalog though. But somebody said maybe Etsy. That's YouTube Punk maybe. But Wayfair has stuff like that, I know, and then Amazon has stuff like that for sure. So those would be probably my two go-tos. But if you were looking to actually get like carpet to put down, you might check with one of your local flooring places to see if they have that. But commercial grade carpet is what you want to look in. They have catalogs for commercial grade carpet. And a lot of movie theaters still use the arcade style carpeting, Tim.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's very common in those. So like I said, may get a commercial grade carpet catalog.
Yeah, I haven't bought any in a while, but I wouldn't think that it would be too difficult. And you may even ask your local carpet distributor for some novelty type carpet stuff like that, and they may have a catalog or some odd stuff they can find for you.
Absolutely. So, okay, is that everybody? I think we got it. Okay, right. I think we're caught up right there. Yeah, I've seen the arcade 1-up guys like to put the rugs and the 80s style carpet in there. The people who collect the 1-ups, I've seen a lot of people with their home arcades with that stuff. So, speaking of that, Tim, I bought 2 arcade 1-ups since the last show, I think. Or did I talk about them? No, I think I bought them since the last show. I bought a Pac-Man. No, I haven't talked about them. The Pac-Man on clearance and the Mortal Kombat 2 on clearance. I think we talked
but
about
they're put together.
They are put together now. So,
that's the difference. Yeah.
I took the Pac-Man. We had a little family reunion over the Memorial Day weekend, and so I actually took the Pac-Man because I don't care if it gets beat up.
Right.
Because it was cheap and it works, and the kids had a blast on it.
Really? They liked it?
Yeah, it got a little beat up. Some of the clear coating came off, but to be honest with you, it still looks good, even with the clear coat off. They do a good job on the clear coat. It's pretty tough. Especially with kids and moving it and stuff like that. Now, is this tough as a regular arcade game? No. But did I pay what I paid for a regular arcade game? No, exactly. Right. So, I mean, you kind of get what you pay for. But for the most part, the Pac-Man held up pretty well. And for the price I paid for it, it was fine. So, there you go. So, I still like them. Let's see. Okay, are we good? We're good. Okay, Tim, let us move to our next question, and that is from Glenn. And Glenn says, hi there, guys. Big fan of your videos. My name is Glenn. I need an arcade repair tip and thought you might be able to answer it on your show. I have a vintage cocktail table, a Midway non-JAMA Galaxian board with a 13-inch CRT monitor. I think it's 13-inch, but I'm not sure. And Tim, the Galaxian cocktails, I believe, were the 13-inch.
Yes, most of them I've seen have been 13-inch.
Right. The gameplay's fine, but the colors are off. There's no white, and score is difficult to read because it's purple. The Galaxians are red, not blue as in most games. I believe there's a problem with the CRT monitor, but I'm not sure where to start. My uneducated guess is that the monitor is missing the green color, as I cannot see it. And Timmy actually sent this picture in here.
Okay.
Is this a cap kit issue on the monitor or a color gun, or could this be the PCB board too? Is this worth fixing? I have attached an image so you can understand how the colors are wrong. Any tips and advice are welcome. Regards, Glenn in Orange County, California. And Tim, it does look, just at first glance, it does look like we're missing some green in that picture.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of it there, and Galaxians usually has a fair bit of it in the screen. And so I think Glenn's assessment here may be correct that we are probably missing some green color on this monitor. So Tim, with that in mind, what can Glenn do to get his Galaxian arcade cocktail going again?
Well, I think I'll start off here because we have a great video on testing the tube.
Right.
Because the tube will actually show you which colors are working in your tube. If your tube is good, which it probably is, and you're having just a color and you've tried to adjust and everything, then you probably got a transistor that is bad. And you could swap those to see if it changes, or just go ahead and replace that. If it's not a transistor, then of course, we're going to recommend, it'd be a good time while you're going to take it out to just go ahead and do a cap kit on it. That will help and solve some color issues. And then you can replace, if you're going to replace one transistor, you might as well replace all three of them and just do a kind of monitor rebuild, which is not hard, especially on a small 13-inch chassis like that.
You may have more than 3 color drive transistors, because some of them have them on the chassis and on the neck board. So
True.
You may have more than that. It just depends on the monitor chassis that you have here. But it's definitely a color issue. Now you asked if it could be your tube, your color gun. It could be your tube.
It could be.
In the video that Tim mentioned, we show you how to check your tube to make sure you're getting the green. So do that test. Make sure you're getting green when you do that. Okay, if you are, that means the green gun in the tube is probably good. So, and then the other thing is, could it be the PCB board? It could be, but that's rare. It's rare
Very
that we
rare.
are missing a color from the PCB. It is possible. We've seen it before. We've seen it. Silly Sausage 72 actually mentioned Soul Calibur. We've seen it on a Soul Calibur board,
Right.
where the board itself was missing the color red. So, I mean, we've seen PCBs where the colors are missing. That's more rare, though. Typically, it's a monitor issue. I'm going to say 85% of the time it's a monitor issue. 15% of the time you may have a board issue, and it may even be 90-10 when we really think about it. So, for the most part, this is probably either going to be the color gun or a color drive transistor somewhere on your chassis that's causing the issue. So let's check those transistors first, like Tim mentioned, and then go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up here, Tim, so we can kind of summarize all that. From your description, it's possible that the problem could be in any one of the 3 areas that you mentioned: monitor, color gun, PCB. With that said, let's start off with the monitor first. Check the color drive transistors on the monitor chassis and do a test on the green gun to make sure it's working properly. We discussed these steps in the video that Tim mentioned in post on checking a monitor tube. Probably not a bad cap in this case, because Lynn mentioned, would it be a cap kit? Probably not a cap kit in this case. But if you're going to take the monitor chassis out and it hasn't had a cap kit, install the cap kit. That's always what we're going to say, because it's better overall if you do that. You don't want to have to pull the monitor out. Like, you get the color drive transistors working, and then a month later, like, you start getting screen fold over or something like that because you have bad caps. It happens all the time. So go ahead and do the cap kit if you're pulling it out. But if the color drive transistors in the tube are all good, then it is possible that you have a board issue. You can try tracing back through the PCB from the green video output pin to see if there's any problems. So basically going back through that trace to see, like, it'll go to a chip and then seeing if that chip is functioning properly and then going through there, etc., etc. So I think that about covers it for Glenn's question here. Tim, is there anything else that you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, that probably, like we both agree, that the board is the last issue. It'd probably be more of a wiring issue before it's a board issue. That would probably be the most rare. So.
Yeah, and that's something else we didn't mention, Tim, is making sure that the wires coming from your PCB to the monitor chassis are making a good connection. As we know, we have a red, green, blue ground sync, so if your green wire is not making the good connection from the game board there, then that could be a problem too. Solder on the input pins all the time, because those develop cracked and broken solder joints more than any other part of an arcade monitor that I've seen. So Glenn, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting your Galaxian game back working 100% there. Okay, Tim, back to Silly Sausage 72. I have a Soul Calibur 2 cabinet, and the cab kind of looks like Mortal Kombat cab. Do you know if they use the same cab? Has a 25-inch monitor in it, and I've been thinking about converting it. So Soul Calibur 2, I don't think it had a dedicated cabinet, Tim. Okay. I think it was only available in kits. So I think what you probably have is a Mortal Kombat style cabinet. Now, Tim, there's a lot of games that use that Mortal Kombat style cabinet.
Right.
Killer Instinct use that. Mortal Kombat use that. What other games use that? Several Midway style games use that style of cabinet. That's a Midway 25-inch cabinet to me. So you could see if there's any artwork still under, if it's painted black. See if there's any artwork under there. That would tell you what it is. But I wouldn't be surprised if you find Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, something like that underneath. And, if you want to convert it back, convert it back. Now, Tim knows I'm a huge Soul Calibur fan, but I also like Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct. And Tim, I like cabinets to be what they originally were. So if you've got a Killer Instinct cabinet, think about converting it back.
Check inside the back door. You may have a serial number or decal or instructions or something that might help you get a clue as what that game was originally from the factory.
Absolutely. Sometimes they do have serial numbers and things. Midway cabinets specifically usually have a sticker on the back, Tim. Mm-hmm. But as we know, those stickers, we're talking about 20 plus years on those stickers now in a lot of cases. They will lose adhesiveness and peel right off, or an operator will take them off or whatever. So it's not uncommon that you don't find that, but at the same time, it's worth looking around to see if you do. So let's see what else we have here. YouTube Punk says, wasn't Soul Calibur a kit? It was. Soul Calibur 2, I'm pretty sure, was only a kit. I don't think they made a dedicated cabinet for it. Knights of Old, has the arcade 1-up phase over the past few years changed the vintage arcade hobby at all? Prices and availability? I don't think so. I think that the natural increase in prices is just due to the supply and demand, Tim. I think that we've seen less supply and more demand. I think a lot of people who invest in arcade 1-ups are probably not people who are going to go out and spend the money for full-size cabinets. But the arcade 1-up gives them a close enough facsimile to an arcade game that they're happy with that, and the price is a lot cheaper. So from my perspective, I don't think it's put a damper on the arcade collecting hobby at all. People who want full-size cabinets will still get full-size cabinets. If anything's affected the price and availability of original arcade cabinets, it's probably barcades more than anything.
Maybe.
So bar arcades are probably the thing and more businesses using classic arcade games in their business. I think that's probably affected it more than anything. But arcade 1-ups to me just give people an avenue to have arcade games in their house who may not have been able to afford them in the past. So, it just kind of depends. But the nice thing about arcade bars, though, is they may be buying up the games, but they're putting them out for people to play, which is where you want the games to be anyway. So, let's see what else we got. Real Hammer Billy Lee, a lot of 90s Midway Mortal Kombat style cabinets were converted into games like Soul Calibur 2. That's right. What does an operator do, Tim, when a game's not making money anymore?
Well, switch it out and put something else that will.
Agreed. So if Mortal Kombat 2 ain't making the money it used to, we're going to convert this thing to a Killer Instinct, to a Soul Calibur 2, to an NBA Jam, to whatever makes money.
Even if it was a Frogger in the beginning. That's
right, exactly. So, and how many cabinets go to an arcade auction? Just count how many cabinets now are Street Fighter 2.
Right.
Golly. They were converting everything Street Fighter 2. I've seen Pac-Man's converted Street Fighter 2, Tim, and that breaks my heart all the time. Okay, so it's one of those things, guys. Operators will convert games to whatever is profitable. So, let's see. Josh C. Out of y'all's entire time collecting or repairing, what was the one game most difficult to troubleshoot, and what was the solution for me? 2011, pole position not booting. That mystery remains, lol. Pole position's not an easy one to troubleshoot, Josh, for sure. Let's see, for us, the hardest thing to troubleshoot. Golly, Tim. I was trying to think of something that we had extended periods of time. When we built the MAME cabinet, there was a lot of troubleshooting, because when we built our MAME cabinet, that was before people built MAME cabinets.
Right.
And so there's a lot of troubleshooting that went into that before we got there. That was years of process. I was trying to think. Most of the time, even if we had to swap out monitors, because you always had spare monitors. So we would swap out monitors a lot of times to get things going if we had issues. Boards, a lot of times, if we couldn't fix them, we'd send them off for repair. So it was just a matter of, getting it back from whoever was repairing it.
Probably the game that gave us a lot of fits was Pole Position 2, Sit Down, with all the boards and stuff, and finally just kind of bulletproofing that and adding fans and stuff helped with that. It took us a while, it seemed like, to get a Kicks up and going one time, but it had...
I was going to say Kicks was another one.
But we had some monitor issues and some other stuff going on.
Those ribbon cables, on those Tato games, guys, you've got to make sure that they're connected properly and that all the pins have good solder joints. Because, I tell you, the connectors between the boards are problem areas big time. And I think that was wrong with ours. It always reset.
Right.
And it took us a long time to figure out. I think we eventually we went with the power supply replacement, and then we redid all the ribbon cable, and I think that fixed it.
Yeah.
So,
and then Laserdisc games. A lot of them
Laserdisc games. Golly, Laserdisc
would
games.
kind of give us some issues. So, I don't know that we ever got Mach 3 going.
We didn't.
We finally just got rid of it.
We had full board sets and Laserdisc, but the hardest thing was trying to find a Laserdisc player that would interface properly and would work.
And today there's probably some stuff that would help with that. But at the time, we didn't.
Right.
We're trying to fix Pioneer disc.
I was about to say, they have the little SD board now that you can get that runs the whole Laserdisc player off like an SD card. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, they got that kind of stuff now. When we were doing the Mach 3, we didn't have that stuff. And the only Mach 3 I've ever seen working was a MAME one.
Right.
So, I mean, it was running Daphne. It was running emulation. So, I think it's possible, though, that you could have there are people that have Laserdiscs up and running. The thing is, you have to know the players really well. Yeah. That's the key. So
those are just a handful.
Dexter. Is Dexter the board that does the Laserdisc games? I think it's Dexter, something like that. So whatever the board is, they have a board now that basically replaces the entire Laserdisc player. So, which is good. Let's see what else here. Delusionals Arcade says, an Orlando Arcade Monsters is a letdown, so don't go there, Tim.
Okay.
So that's from Delusionals. Knights of Old, how often should dust be removed from the PCBs, monitor chassis, etc.? Can enough dust kill the board? So, here's the deal. It can, but the buildup has to be pretty substantial. We're talking about layered. So, as long as your games are getting regular play, and you can really clean them out probably every 2 to 3 years even, and probably be in good shape. If you're in a pretty low dust environment, maybe more than that. So, as long as the games are working and they're not too dusty in there. But in our experience, Tim, that dust really has to be caked on in order for it to cause an issue.
I probably have had more games not work after cleaning it than I have that fixed just from cleaning it. It's like, of course, when we were at Chuck E. Cheese, you would say once a month.
Right.
If you had an arcade.
But you're also talking about games that are literally getting
played every day.
Exactly.
So I would think...
a game that gets 5,000 plays a day or whatever.
You're right. Maybe once or twice once a year or every 2 years would probably suffice. If you give it a good clean and blow it out, give it time to rest. But, unless it's really bad, I've done more damage trying to clean something than I have just, worried about it looking to me.
Agreed.
Always cleaning stuff.
Agreed. Let's see. Silly Sausage 72. Thanks, guys, for the info. I like Soul Calibur 2, but would really like to convert to a Mortal Kombat or Mortal Kombat 2. Go for it. So, those Midway cabinets should be Midway games, in my opinion. Love Soul Calibur 2, by the way. Love that game. But probably, whenever I think of Soul Calibur 2, Showcase cabinet. That's what I think of.
Yeah, me too.
Showcase cabinet. Let's see. It's a blue cabinet. Now you got me curious to remove the paint and see. Yeah, it's been painted if it's blue.
Right.
So, yeah, let's citrus strip and elbow grease.
You think it's a big blue?
Probably, maybe, but big blue looks different. You would, if it was a big blue, you would know it because it would be big, right?
Yeah.
Midway,
tall.
Yeah, exactly. The Midway cabinets are very distinctive. So, you bet you have a Midway one. Citrus strip. Have fun. Let's see. Glenn Richards just donated $10, and he, I believe he's the Glenn that we answered the question for. Glenn, thank you so much for your question. Good luck getting that Galaxian up and running. Tim, like we said, I think it's more of a color issue there.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to hear some follow up with that, Glenn. If you're able to fix that, let us know.
Absolutely. So, but thank you for the $10 donation. That's awesome. And if you guys would like to donate as well, there is a little $sign button right down there in the chat called Super Chat button that you can donate. You can also donate if you go to arcaderepairtips.com/donate. You can donate there as well if you have PayPal, and we appreciate all donations. Danny, I have had my Final Lap 2 for 2 years now. It's a double-seater, still plays fine, but the Player 2 has graphics glitches sometimes. Could it be a ROM issue? Absolutely.
Sure.
So, we always start, anytime we have board issues, we always start with power supply first to make sure the power supply is good. So, since you have two of them, you might even try swapping the boards out, making sure that the problem follows the board, because that'll tell you real quick if it's a board or a regular issue. But yes, if you're having sprite glitching errors like that, it's usually either because it can't load from the ROM, or it's having problems with the RAM, the video RAM. So, like video RAM issue or video ROM issue. So one or the other. But it depends on what kind of sprite glitching you're getting. If you're getting if you're getting no pieces of the original, a lot of times that could be the ROM. If you're getting some pieces of whatever the original sprite's supposed to be, but they're kind of mixed up, that could be the RAM. So it really depends on what you're looking at there. Again, schematics help with that kind of stuff, but I don't know where we'd find a schematic for that one in particular. But yes, it can be a ROM issue, could be a RAM issue as well. Anytime, like, first thing I like to do, I think we do this in inspecting an arcade board. If you have any seated chips on there, just double check all those. Like any of them that have the socket. Excuse me. You have socketed chips, check the socketed chips first. And just make sure, because, I mean, there's a reason they're socketed. Because they're probably going to fail. That's always what I think. So if you have socketed chips, especially in the video sections of the board, check socketed chips in those areas and see if you can find anything. Since you have the other board, if you're brave enough, you can always switch out the chips. So you can switch one from the working board to the broken board. If you want to do that, you have to be pretty brave because you may break a board in process. But that's always an option as well. Let's see. And Alan was saying Dexter. Yes. And Alan does have a Mach 3 game. I think, Alan, you have a lot of Laserdisc games, if I remember correctly, right?
Okay.
Tim? So you do have the one that's working, which is awesome. But, you know, those of us who are not as good at troubleshooting Laserdiscs do not have them. So, Knights of Old, how often should you power up a game and how long to leave it on? So, when you power up a game, I mean, you power them up when you use them. That's kind of always been our philosophy. So if you're not using them, don't power them on just to power on. When you turn them on, the only thing that we recommend is making sure they boot up all the way before you turn them off. Don't let them, try not to turn them off during the boot up process. Try to let them boot up all the way, at least get to an attract mode before you decide to shut them off again. It really doesn't do any harm to turn them off during the boot up process. Sometimes with hard drive games, though, it can be real hard on the hard drive to do that. So, I mean...
I always like to, about once a month, I think I would, even if I was kind of a time when I wasn't playing a lot of games, I always like to just fire mine up. I think it's good for them to run a little bit, but I don't think that it helps or extends a life. It's kind of like an old TV, which most of them basically are. You think about it, that TV's got so many hours of life. Every time you play or work, it's going down, not going to get better. It's like a person. It's really dying at any given time. So the more you run, the faster you're going to get there, in honesty. But it's kind of random, you know, when games die. It's just... you just take your chance, turn them on when you're wanting to play, and when they go bad, you fix them.
Exactly. So, let's see. Effie says, how do you fix the calibration of a screen? Screen goes up and down, and lower the volume on a Superman arcade game. So calibration. I assume we're talking about size, is what it sounds like. So you said screen goes up and down. So are we getting a hold issue where you can't get
flipping?
Right. Are we getting flipping on the screen there, Effie? Like where the screen will just flip? If so, that's what we consider a hold issue. Okay, and so you need to adjust usually the horizontal hold in order to make that, sometimes vertical hold, depending on which way it's going for you. As far as the sound goes on the Superman game, I'm not sure if that game has a volume control in the test mode. So check the manual for Superman and see. You should be able to find that online. If it does have volume control, you should be able to change it there. If it doesn't, look inside your game for a volume control knob. And if you can't find that, wire up a volume control knob yourself. And you can do that. We've discussed that, Tim, in previous episodes of the live show. But I can send you a diagram, Effie, if you send us a email at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. You remind me, I can send you a diagram of how to wire in a volume potentiometer into those things, so that way you can control the volume that way. But if the board has it in its test mode, then you can do it that way. Again, see the Superman manual for that. And then if not, look around and see if you can find a volume control inside the cabinet. Sometimes somebody's already wired up that potentiometer, Tim. In order to control the volume, you just need to find it. A lot of times it's right inside the coin door. That's a very common place for volume potentiometers to be, so try that. On the hold issue, if your hold potentiometer on the monitor chassis is having issues, you may have problems with hold. So you may have to replace a pot on the monitor chassis for that. I was trying to think of what else would cause the hold issue. Offhand, I can't think of anything. Tim, any thoughts for Effie on the hold issue?
No, it's usually the pot, but it could be back caps or whatever. It would be a good time just to rebuild the chassis.
Yeah, a lot of times if you adjust the hold on the monitor, it'll stop the flipping. But like I said, we've had some before where
it's
we can't get it dialed in.
Just not syncing up, really. You need to look at your sync. When I say replace the caps, it might be a sync cap issue.
Right. Something in the
Depends on the
right.
monitor.
The sync section, exactly.
Right.
So, horizontal, vertical sections of the monitor chassis. So, so for the most part, though, adjusting the hold usually stops the flipping. But if it's something where you're having to adjust it a lot, you may want to change out the potentiometer there as well and see if that helps. And then again, on the volume control, just check your manual for the Superman, see if you have it in the board. And if not, check for a volume potentiometer or wire one in yourself. And again, if you need help with that, questions at arcaderepairtips.com. Send us an email.
For sure, touch up the solder on the back of that pot before you replace it.
Yes, absolutely. So, Knights of All gave us $2. Tim, thank you for the donation. He says, could you post where to buy parts for dead CPS2 and 3 boards? Arcade Parts and Repair has a lot of stuff, but I don't know if they're going to have stuff for CPS2 and 3 boards for the most part. Your best thing for CPS2 boards is usually, Suicide, Tim, is very common. So the Undammed Infinity, can't say that enough. Undammed Infinity, if you've not heard of that for CPS2 boards, you need to look it up because that is the thing that'll save your board from suicide if it has suicide. CPS2 boards, a lot of people know they have encryption keys, Tim, on the board. They have to match up. A battery actually stores those encryption keys. When that battery goes dead, the encryption keys go away, and all of a sudden you can't play the game anymore. And so the Undammed Infinity will allow you to bring that board back to life. And so highly recommended. Can't say enough good things about that piece of hardware. You do have to install it. It's not a bad install, but that's the one thing I'll say for CPS2 boards. CPS3 I'm not familiar with. We haven't had as many of those come through our hands, Tim. But CPS2 is very familiar with, but the Undammed Infinity is one of the
So
best
if he
things
Googles that, he should be able to
You will find
right
it. Exactly. Undammed is the name of the modder who made it, and he's a really nice guy and has reached out to us in the past and thanked us, Tim, for mentioning it. But he's the one who did all the work. It's a fantastic piece of hardware, and you should get it if you have suicide issues. So, let's see. Regzer Show. I have a Superman, and I thought there was a pot on the board for volume. So so that's a good point there. So some boards have a volume control on the game PCB itself. So your Superman may have that. If it does, check the PCB. Again, manual should tell you. So, okay, Tim. I think we're caught up.
Okay.
So let us go to Jake's question here. Okay. Jake says, I'm in the process of bringing a Daytona USA Limited single seat back to life. I've changed the lights, etc., but the sound is my issue. I've replaced the speakers with a modern set to test sound. I get sound out of one speaker, but not the other. There are also sounds like popping and crackling in the speakers, new and old, that I can't get rid of. I thought maybe the board needs repair, but I don't know where to send such an item to be repaired. Any suggestions? So, Tim, Daytona USA, I know you've got a little bit of experience with this in your Chuck E. Cheese days. What do you think is going on with this Daytona USA board that we're having these kind of sound issues? It sounds like it's just out of the one side, though.
Right. Well, it probably is a board issue that he needs to have repaired, but you should be able to go into the test mode and to test left and right, and should help you troubleshoot some sound there. Other than that, there's be a sound amp part of the board that you could rebuild. There's probably some caps and some things in that area that you could rebuild. Maybe a bad potentiometer like we talked about, even just refilling the solder there. What am I missing, John? I think that it probably is a board issue based on what he talked about.
Yeah, and so like you mentioned, Tim, going into the test mode here is going to be a key to this. I'm just going to go ahead and bring up the outline here, Tim. So, Tim, I put a picture of the soundboard and the mixer amp on here so he can see what those look like. Getting to these things is not the easiest thing, guys. If you've ever worked on a Daytona USA, you know this. Getting to them. Tim, you like to say is Sega is a 4-letter word, and sometimes repairing them can be very difficult. So getting to the soundboard especially can be difficult. The mixer/amp is not so bad. But let's start off this repair by going into the test mode and trying the sound test. If the sounds are working properly, you probably have... if the sounds are not working properly, you probably have a problem with the soundboard. Okay?
Right.
And again, picture soundboard. If the sounds are working, check the connections from the soundboard to the mixer/sound amplifier. Make sure you're also getting good power to those areas. Tim, there are test points on those boards to make sure that you've got power there. Now, you'll notice like the outputs on that mixer amp, like if you have that unplugged, you may not get anything from one side. So make sure that all those connections are being made and that everything's connected properly. That could be a problem. Make sure you're also getting good power. Like we mentioned, there are places to check the power on these boards. You may need to repair your mixer amplifier board if the problems continue. Okay, so now if it is a soundboard issue, two things. One, the soundboard is very common. They used them on a lot of Sega games, so you could probably find a replacement. But you may contact our friend Ken at Advanced Repair Center. He specializes in Sega arcade games and offers board repair. And you can go to his site at iRepairSega.com. So try Ken at Advanced Repair Services, iRepairSega.com, if you want to send your soundboard off. A lot of times you can find replacements because, like I said, these are very common soundboards, Tim. They're used in a lot of games. And how many Daytona USAs are still out there, Tim?
Right,
golly. So you may be able to find a replacement, but if not, Ken can walk you through how to get the soundboard out and how to send it to him if you need the repair. So, Tim, do you have anything else here for Jake before we move on?
I don't think so. I think we covered that one pretty good. But, just a little bit of troubleshooting. You could also switch the wires and see if the wires follow the speaker.
Yeah.
Like if the problem, it's weird how you're saying one speaker's working but the other one's not. So switch your wires and see if it is literally the output going to a particular direction.
Right, exactly.
Speaker.
So, yeah, I mean, it does sound more like the mixer amplifier, if I had to guess.
That'd be my guess.
But we've seen it before where the soundboard is just not putting out both channels. Okay, so I mean, it could be either one. That's why we want you to try to do the sound test first, and then go on to the mixer board from there, and just try that and let us know. So, Jake, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting the sound restored on your Daytona USA game. And Silly Sausage 72 just left. He says, thanks again, guys, and everybody in the chat. I'm going to play Dig Dug. LOL. Cheers, everybody. So there you go. Thanks for joining us, Silly Sausage 72. Always good to have you. Always good to have all you guys here. So, YouTube Punk says Daytona. So Daytona is such a great game. There's a reason why we still see them around, right, Tim? There's a reason why there's still Daytona USA's. And Tim, they remade it, right? Mm-hmm. Like what is this called? Daytona USA Classic or something like that? Like they literally remade the game. So I mean, there's a reason why Daytona is so popular. It's a great game still. So. Okay, Tim, here we go with our next question from Vaxed Stories. He says, what should I do if a coin falls through my coin mech without triggering a credit? If I manually move the microswitch wire, a credit is triggered, so it's the mech that's the problem and not the machine circuitry. Also, the other mech works fine. So, Tim, I think we're both going to reject this premise of the mech. It's a problem with the mech and not the machine circuitry, right? Because, I mean, the mech only does one thing. It basically just lets the coin through, right?
Right.
So what do you think is going on? Why isn't it passing a credit to the game whenever it falls through the mech and on the microswitch wire?
Well, its microswitch just needs to be tweaked a little bit because when you do it by hand, you kind of do it a little harder, right? You're taking your finger and you're actually you'll hear it make a click, but it may not do it till it's way down at the bottom. So what you're going to do is, here's your wire, you're going to kind of bend it so that it doesn't take as much to make that click. Is the best way to
You may bend it
sign
down. A lot of times you bend it down.
Bend it down just a hair, or even just on the tip on the end, bend it in a little so that when it catches that coin, it actually triggers it. Where the wire is coming out, so not the end, but the closest to the switch, where it connects up here on the switch. If you'll bend it there down just a hair, then you'll see that it doesn't take as much to make it click.
Right.
And that will help with the coin. So if you'll switch your coin switches, I bet it'll work.
Yeah, exactly.
That would prove it.
Right.
But look at your other switch and see, a lot of times, I mean, we're talking millimeters, not very much of a bend, but just a little bit of bend down, just a little tweak. If you play with that, if you look at the other one, you may see that it's already been tweaked or bent. A lot of times, too, they'll have a part that comes in, and maybe it's not in far enough. So not only do I bend the switch down, I usually bend it in so that it's catching. Here's my coin coming down. I'm hitting that switch. A lot of times it won't be pushed in enough, and the coin will come through and miss it. So coin's pretty thin.
Right. Your
finger is pretty thick. So when the coin goes through, it misses that. So sometimes you just got to bend it towards the mech a little bit. Sometimes just a little tweak there will allow that coin to catch.
Absolutely.
But it's something. It's almost hard to describe, but it's just a feel, and you kind of get in there and you do it a little bit. You'll get good at it.
And I'm going to go ahead and put this through, because this is basically what you said here, Tim. If the coin falls through the mech, then the coin mech is doing its job.
Right.
Okay, that's what you have to remember. The only thing that the coin mech is responsible for is making sure that the correct coin gets inserted into the slot. It should let the correct coin fall through to the switch while the bad coins get returned to the coin reject slot. That's the only job of the mech.
Right.
Okay? This sounds more like a problem with your switch. We've had success in the past bending the coin switch wire down so that it has less distance to travel to the actuator when the coin hits it. You can also adjust it with a pair of needle nose pliers. Sometimes you just need to replace the switch entirely. If the switch is starting to wear down a little bit, you may just need to replace it entirely. But we like to just cut off basically the amount of distance it takes. So by bending that wire just slightly down a little bit, when the coin hits, the switch will be further down, which means the coin has more momentum to hit it, and it doesn't have as far to travel to activate the switch. So you're kind of fixing it in two ways there. But hopefully by doing that, it'll start coining up. And like Tim mentioned, if you switch the switches, it'll probably start working, right? So there you go. So Vex Stories hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting the coin switch adjusted on your arcade game. He didn't say which arcade game. He just said he just says coin door. So. Tim, Glenn has another question. I had my eyes on a Dungeons & Dragons Tower of Doom on Capcom CPS2, but I have a concern over the suicide battery. Thank you for that tip. Yes, Undamned Infinikey. The Undamned Infinikey. Easy install too, Tim. Works on every CPS2 game. Fantastic piece of hardware.
Right, brings them back from the dead.
Go to Twitter right now. Look up Undamned Twitter handle and send him a message saying you love that thing, even though you've never installed it before. Because that thing is fantastic. I mean, it is because before that, what do we have to use? We have to use Phoenix ROMs, basically ROMs that had the decrypted versions of the things already burned on them. And so every game had to have a different set of ROMs, depending. The Infinikey does all the games, and it's one piece of hardware. It's fantastic. So.
Right. And so, even if you have a working game, it's good to install because it'll keep it from happening.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, it's going to suicide eventually. You could keep replacing batteries if you want to keep the hardware original, or you could just install the Undamned Infinikey and be done with it. Up to you. So, there you go. Here's the thing, though, Tim. I've got 12 CPS2 boards, and I've only replaced the battery maybe in 2 of them, and they all work last time I checked them, which was about a year ago.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazing how long those batteries last. So, I'm just waiting for one to die so I can install Infinikey into it. So,
there you go.
There you go. And I have a Dungeons & Dragons Tower of Doom, Tim, board that has the Phoenix ROMs on it.
Okay.
So, which, like I said before, the Infinikey. And Raymond did that for me from Arcade Components. So, good stuff. Let's see. Yeah, the Undamned Infinikey you'll find. And there's a video. I think he even has a video on how to install it. If he doesn't, it's on one of the websites where you can do it. So, yeah, so, Knights of Old says the Darksoft mod. So the Darksoft mod is good too. It's a multi-game CPS2 mod that you can put on a CPS2 board to play multiple games. They just started, I mean, it was out for a while and then it went away and it just started, I think they just put them back in production so you can start getting them again. Okay. Apparently the new version is a lot easier to install. I haven't done it yet, but I've heard really good things about the Darksoft mod. So if that's something you're interested in, you can look up some information on that as well for CPS2. Again, it kind of makes your CPS2 game like a multi-CPS2 system so you can play multiple games. That's always good. So, and it's original hardware, which is nice. So, anyway. But, Tim, it is time for our quick question and answer, our lightning round that we do here with 3 questions from different users here, Tim. And so let us go ahead and take those real quick. The first one we have is from Wango Tango, Tim.
Okay.
Okay, on adjusting an arcade monitor, I was told messing around with the back of the monitor, even with the power off, can kill you. So I'm supposed to mess around the back there with the power on.
Okay.
Again, theme of this episode, guys. I think this thing's trying to kill me. Right?
Okay.
So Wingo Tango definitely thinks that. Chad says I have a Neotech 550 DXF monitor out of a Big Buck Hunter arcade. What cap kit should I use? And then Grant says, hello, I'm having an issue with my Killer Instinct. The picture is beautiful when it works, but after a few minutes it goes dark and plays blind. If I unplug it, wait a few minutes, turn back on, it works, but only for a few minutes. Can you suggest someone to repair it? So Wingo Tango, should I mess with the back of the monitor with the power on? Chad, I need a cap kit for a Neotech 5550 DXF monitor. And Grant, I'm getting a Goes Dark Plays Blind on my Killer Instinct. Can you suggest someone to repair it? So Tim, pretty easy stuff this month.
Okay.
Let's start with Wingo Tango. So messing around with the back of the monitor isn't going to kill me, Tim.
All right. Well, I think it's more of an urban legend than truth. I've never heard of anybody dying from it.
Now, have people been severely shocked? Absolutely.
Yes. But if you want to take extra precautions, you can wear rubber gloves, make sure and degauss it.
The TV alignment tool that we recommend for the horizontal width coils, you
Right.
can use those to adjust the monitor as well, adjust those potentiometers with. So, and those are plastic. So a really good thing if you don't want to touch those pots with your hand, then you can use the TV alignment tool to do that.
I said decals, I meant discharge it.
Yes, discharge it.
So you can discharge it and stuff. You should be just fine. Yet have to go to a funeral of anybody that's actually died from it.
Yeah.
So pretty rare. I've been shocked pretty hard. I definitely wouldn't recommend it. Maybe. Got an extra radio in one of my feelings, picking up extra stations or something. But I don't think it's really that serious of an issue.
Absolutely. So Chad wants to know where he can get a cap kit for his 550 DXF. Tim, I went ahead and did this work for you. Arcade Parts and Repair has
Right.
them. Paradise Arcade Shop has them. Syracuse Semiconductor has them. Okay, and I put the links down below so you can get them any of those. Paradise Arcade Shop, guys, they always sell good stuff. Arcade Parts and Repair, good stuff there. Syracuse Semiconductor. He doesn't have it on his page, but he could build whatever cap kit you need. So if you tell him that you have a 550 DXF, Syracuse Semiconductor, he'll get one for you. So easy places to do. Now, Grant obviously has an issue with his Killer Instinct. It would come on, then go off, unplug it, come on, go back off. What's going on? Or where can he send it for repair? He didn't want to fix it.
I would, of course, we want to highly recommend the people that we have used that are on our site. It tells you where to go, but I can't think of anybody better right now for the price than Paul.
Right.
And Paul Duray and pulsemonitors.com, right?
Yeah.
And so I would highly recommend sending it to him. But he's got a problem with the high voltage section, and I would just, if you're not at that level of repair yet, I would send it to him. It's just what he does a good job and is real reasonable.
Yeah. So you could rebuild the high voltage section, which is usually like, we have filter caps in the area, we have HOTS, we have the flyback, we have all that kind of stuff. You could just rebuild that section yourself and kind of start from there, or you could just send it to Paul and take care of it. PaulsMonitors.com. That's what we're going to recommend.
It could just be a cap kit or something, but you're into one of those areas that it could be one thing, could be one of 5 things, and so. And if you just got the time and want to fool with it, you can start there and work your way and look at our repair videos on. I would look at troubleshooting a game playing blind because we talk about a lot of things like that. But if it's a time thing or you're just not, you're not at that level yet, I would send it to Paul.
There you go. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up here since Tim just pretty much mentioned all of it here. Wingo Tango, we understand you're nervous about it. You can always take additional precautions like wearing rubber gloves or using the TV alignment tools from our post on adjusting a horizontal width coil. But Tim, we have touched these with our bare hands on several occasions and never had a problem, right?
Yes.
I have maybe been shocked a little bit, but never harmed or hurt or anything like that. Tim, it sucks when your hands sweat.
Yeah.
I have hot hands that sweat all the time, and it really sucks when you're working on monitors because sweaty hands, if you touch anything that's electrical with sweaty hands, you get a little bit of a jolt, which sucks. So even when I stick my hand up in a control panel, Tim, I worry because of that. But, a lot of times the voltage there is fine. It's not enough to really harm you like Tim mentioned. But rubber gloves are not a bad idea. TV alignment tool, using that is not a bad idea. So Chad, like we mentioned, arcadepartsandrepair.com, SyracuseSemiconductor.com should have the cap kit in stock. And I also mentioned Paradise Arcade Shop, Tim, which I put in the notes below. And there's a picture of it if you are looking for it there. The one from Paradise Arcade Shop was Xanon's. They actually had the Xanon cap kit in stock, which Tim has long been a fan of using Xanon cap kits. So there you go.
Good guys.
Yeah, and then Grant, sounds like an issue with the high voltage section of your monitor. You can see the entities listed on the monitor repair services information heading on our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. Special mention to Paul Duray for paulsmonitors.com if you want to send it off to someone. Paul may be your guy. It depends on what model chassis you have, because Paul does. If you have a common like Wells Garner or Electro Home or something like that, more than likely he can do it. Sometimes he has more problems with like the Sharp Image, Neotex type stuff. So make sure you contact him, get him some pictures of your chassis, let him know what you got, and he can tell you whether or not he'll be able to handle it. But there's a lot of other guys out there. Tim, we've been recommending Chad for years at arcadecup.com. He's usually pretty backed up, but he does get the work done, so he will eventually get it back to you. And then, there's several other people, again, under that heading there that you can send your monitor off to if you need to.
Sounds good.
There you go. Let's see. Knights of Old, I just got gifted some neon signs. Any upkeep safety tips on those, Tim?
Well, a neon sign actually is a lot more dangerous than a monitor. So be careful. Those power supplies on them are really high voltage. So you just want to make sure that there's no problem with the wiring or no glass that's breaking, that's broken. If it's glass that's broken, I would probably take it to a professional sign shop. Now, you can replace a transformer if they're bad. Just remember they are extremely high voltage. So, it's a neon sign. To me, I have repaired them. I've worked on them. Fortunately, it's something you can work on your bench. It's a lot safer. The ones I worked on, I was up on a ladder or something. I never felt very comfortable working on the old Chuck E. Cheese neon signs and stuff. Have had some success, have had some colossal failures. So just be super careful with those. But yeah, they have a light transformer. Just think of it like your light in your cabinet. A lot of them have little transformers and stuff, but it's just a much higher voltage. We're talking probably 10,000 volts. So be real careful with those guys.
Sounds good, Tim. Okay. Well, I think we're done with the questions section, so let us move on to usually what would be maybe a Tim's Tech Tip.
Okay.
This time is like Tim's Travels. Are you going to be our Anthony Bourdain?
I don't know. Maybe so.
Yeah. So is this no reservations? I don't know.
Dives and arcades.
That's
or something,
right. That's right. So, there
it
you
definitely
go.
helps when they got good food.
Yeah, there you go. So, Tim, you went to El Paso, Texas, like you told us. And what was the place that you went to?
I went to Rubiks Arcade, which is
kind of like
Rubik's Cube.
Right.
And you can see the sign. You got a picture of it.
Yeah, I'll put it up real quick.
Yeah. See the sign on the left. I noticed it coming down the road several blocks. It looks kind of like Rubik's Arcade and Bar. And it was. There's just some pictures inside. A lot of that second picture is vacation, family. The picture that everybody had in their house. Nobody knows what it is, but.
Which one are you talking? Oh, the Vacation Family?
Yeah, the one to the right was the girl.
That's the Duran Duran album, isn't it?
Well, it was like on...
Hey, somebody back me up. I think that's the Duran Duran album art.
It was like...
You're talking about the picture of the girl, right?
Yeah.
In the second image there.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure that's from a Duran Duran
That was a real
cover.
popular picture that was in all the like Kirkland's and stuff. They always used to sell that kind of stuff.
Maybe not. I know there's one similar to that.
It
looks very similar. I was about to say.
And then they had like the arcade artwork all around the walls. But one of the best things, they had some really cool pinball games. Did you get pictures
Okay, yes,
of
I
the
do.
games?
Hang on, I got. Yeah, I see. Ken on the wall over here.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Whoever did that, golly, that's really good work. And then, so what is this? Is this a dance floor?
Yeah,
here?
they had like a dance floor. They had kind of like our old arcade, John. They had.
Hang on. Thank you, Alan. The Rio album art.
Okay.
That's what that is.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure that is what it is. So.
And then they have like music videos playing the whole time while you're playing. The Beavis and Butthead was actually a chair that you could go up and get your picture set in. It looks flat there, but that's actually a chair you could go up and sit next to Beavis and Butthead and get a picture. Some of the drinks that they offered there, let's see, what was it? Speedy Gonzalez, Talk Nerdy to Me, Pop Rocks. What's some of that?
The Atomic Squishy.
Yeah. So a lot of those.
And Tron. I saw the Tron.
Tron, Pretty in Pink. A lot of those Snosberry Sours. So anyway, some of those 80s theme stuff, they had the specialty drinks, which I didn't try any of those, but...
now, YouTube Punk says Patrick Nagel is the artist on all that.
Okay.
On those kind of pictures.
Okay.
So
they were super popular all over the place in the 80s.
Okay, now I'm supposed to put the pinball machines up here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to play some of the new ones that I haven't got to play yet.
Right. So immediately I was drawn to the Stranger Things, which is farthest on the right. They had a Rush. They had a Godzilla.
All new games.
They had...
I see Monopoly.
They had I didn't take a picture of everything. They had a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Did you... Okay, so...
And I love that game.
Okay, let's talk about what you played.
Probably my favorite Jersey Jack game so far that I've played.
So Willy Wonka was good. I've been wanting to play it.
Was great. The first time or two, Rush was okay.
Well, okay, let's take it one at a time. So what did you like about Willy Wonka?
Okay.
Besides just liking it. Was it the layout? Was it the shot selection? Was it the light show? Was it the animations? What are the things that you liked about it?
Yeah, I kind of liked the layout a lot. It didn't seem like a hard game. Like most of his games are kind of... It reminded me of Wizard of Oz. I mean, it had a lot of toys, a lot of stuff on it, but it didn't take me very long to actually, I think I got the high score of the week or something on it, and it kind of made a big deal when I did that. Took my picture and put it on the screen, and I think I got a free game or something for that.
Nice.
Most of them, they were all 75 cents to play, and I think I spent $10, and I occasionally I'd win a free game or it would match or whatever. It felt like I played for a pretty good while for $10, which I thought was really reasonable. So Willy Wonka wasn't super fast. I liked it because I was actually picked up on the rules and was able to play it for. It really felt like first time I played it probably was over in a minute. The next time I played a 5-minute game, I started getting up in that, getting multi-balls and stuff. So I don't know. It was probably my favorite Jersey Jack game so far to play.
Okay, so then let's go Godzilla. So did you play Godzilla?
Godzilla to me, and I've read. I know Mark really
he's got one on pre-order.
Yeah, really loves it.
So Mark, our community manager, has one on pre-order.
To be honest, there's one thing I was going to say about it. I did not like Godzilla as much as the other games. I don't think it was set quite right. Like it wasn't at enough of a tilt or something. It played a little slow to me, and I didn't like it.
Okay.
And a lot of drain balls, and it may
have been the way it was set up.
It may be in the way it was set up, in honest opinion. So I didn't get very far into it to really enjoy it. You ever played a game that you just felt like it didn't feel right, like it wasn't set right?
Walking Dead.
And it was just kind of constantly draining. I'm shaking. There's nothing I could do. I was kind of like, but had I got to play it a little bit more, I'm sure I would have liked it. Rush was probably my least favorite. It was kind of confusing to me when to hit the button, when to play. I'm not a super player by any means.
Let's talk about the button real quick, because there are some games that make really good use of that. I think AC/DC is a great example with the cannon, and you know exactly when to push it.
I never knew what it was there for. It was kind of like yeah, exactly. I know what to do with AC/DC, and so it may just be getting in there and playing it and learning the rules. It was like that. I couldn't pick it up really quick. Now those of you that have it or played it, you probably know the rules. You're probably like, well, duh, you're supposed to do this or whatever. It just as an average player just walking up wanting to play a game, those games were really quick to me, and so I was way more attracted to the Stranger Things. I probably played it the most of anything and had the most fun. I really liked it.
Now, Stranger Things has that little blacklight mod too that flips the game. Did it have that mod on it, or do you know?
I don't think so.
You would have seen it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Because that's a mod that you have to pay extra for.
Yeah, I don't remember it doing that. Okay. So probably not.
So what did you like about Stranger Things? What were the key takeaways? Was it the theme that really?
Yeah, the theme was cool, but you had the creature. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. The main creature, when you would get the multi-ball and he would come up and you had to shoot it in his mouth. It was like it just had a lot of really good shots, and I just kept hitting those shots and kept getting multi-ball, and I'd get another multi-ball, and I was actually I'm an average pinball player at best. And it seemed like guys were watching me play that, and they're like, "You watch this guy; he's really good." And I was like, "No, the shots were just—they
were your shots.
They were my shots." It had a kind of a fast, had a good flow to it.
I was about to say, that flow fit your game. The flow fit the game.
It did. It just kind of. I'm not one to catch the ball tons of times and look around where I'm going to shoot it. I'm more like it's coming. I'm going to try to hit it over there. I'll wait till it hits the end of my flipper, and I was hitting those shots, and it just felt right to me, and I was just like, plus the animation and stuff. Have you ever played some of the newer games where the animation you're watching and then your ball gets drained or something? It wasn't like that. It was really like when the animation come up, you had time to watch it before it kicked it back out, and it would tell you, I'm coming over here, and so you use that upper flipper. I just kept hitting that shot over and over, and anyway, I just felt like, to me, really made me. I was like, the pinball bug bit me again when I hit that. I haven't had a newer pin in a while, and it really made me want to play some pinball again. So I'm going to be looking when I go to Orlando maybe for a place to play.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that I feel like that the flow of the game fits my play style. So like Medieval Madness is one that I always feel like when I play, I always hit the shots that I want to hit.
Right.
Getaway, High Speed 2, I always feel like I hit the shots that I want to hit. And so I like games that feel like that, where I feel like I can hit every shot that I need to hit.
I'm a pretty fast player. I either play and get a lot of multiples, get a good high score, or I'm over with quick.
Right.
So to me, it has to be shots that I can hit and not sit there and have to catch the ball. I'm just not that great a pinball player. I just like to keep the ball in play and keep hitting it and having fun. And that game seemed to fit my style the best.
Gotcha. Let's see. Razor Show says, did you play Mandalorian or Jurassic Park? Did they have those there?
Did play. I didn't play Jurassic Park because I played it before. It was a new one, but I played it before. Maybe I played one game. I did play the Mandalorian. It was okay. It was. You notice I didn't even take a picture of it. It was kind of like, I don't know. I think that this was one of those places where I just kept going to the Stranger Things. It probably of the $10, it probably got $5 of my dollars, because I really liked it. And I didn't want to spend a ton. Actually, I probably played a pretty good while on $10. I was kind of, you got tokens, so maybe they gave me some extra tokens for getting $10 worth.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it felt like it was a good amount. And then I think about that time I was playing Mandalorian. You got to remember that's when the Dallas Mavericks were playing to go to see who would go to the championship game.
So the Warriors.
And the Warriors, and before the Warriors.
No, okay, it was Phoenix.
Phoenix. So I was kind of watching the game, and then the food came, and they had some really, really good pizza. And it wasn't just, it was good pizza. It was made pizza, fresh pizza. And,
pizza.
Yeah, I know pizza. So,
as a guy who's been a general manager of 2 pizza places,
right? It wasn't 3. Quite the pizza I ate in New York. Now I had some really good pizza there, but I didn't play in pinball while I was there. So once my food got there, I kind of gravitated and started watching the game with a couple other fans that were there, and we kind of just sat at the bar and watched the game. But the Mandalorian was probably a game I wish I would have played more.
There you go.
I did like it.
Sounds good. Well, I hope I get a chance to play a lot of these newer games too. I think like the last ones I played were Star Wars and Guardians of the Galaxy is like the last newest pinballs I played.
We just don't have a place here to play them anymore. Nope. And if I lived in El Paso, I would probably be at this place every week.
There you go.
It was fun.
So, hi Marks for Rubiks Arcade Bar.
Yeah, hi Marks, and also it was kind of had a cool bar family atmosphere. Like I wouldn't have felt comfortable taking my kids or my wife there. No problem. It wasn't all smoky or anything. It was just fun. Good fun place.
Sounds good. Well, we're glad to hear it, Tim, and I'm glad that you got to give us your review of some pinball machines as well. So that's always good. So there you go. So Anthony Bourdain, he can move over now, and Tim's going to take over for no reservations now that he's gone. So there I'll
try my best to next place I go to
so really Orlando.
Really, maybe, and they're going to have some places to play around there. I wanted to play in New York, like I said, and I just couldn't fit it into my schedule very good while I was up there. And I may fall into that in Orlando. I'll have some pretty long days there to get everything done I need to get accomplished. But sure was nice to kind of unwind in El Paso there. I highly recommend Rubiks. And I know that, like I said, they have the food, the atmosphere, games.
Did you talk to any of the employees or anything?
Yeah, I did. I talked to one of them. I asked them about their tech. Told them that I thought the games were super clean. I didn't find there was nothing wrong with any of them. They were all working right, and which was,
pinball machines. That's pretty impressive.
He said, yeah, I don't know that guy very well. It was a night manager, but he was like, a dude comes in, brings a suitcase full of tools and just all time fooling with them and keeping them tweaked and everything. And I was like, I could honestly tell that they were well-maintained games.
It's very easy to tell if a pinball machine is not maintained.
Yeah, so I wrote them a good review and said that I feel like I have somewhat knowledge in that area and that they were very well-maintained.
Sounds good. So, okay, Tim, well, thank you for your review. Hopefully you get to check out something else next month. We'll do another Tim's Travels.
I hope so.
There you go. So, well, let us go on to the news for this month, guys. And the first thing we have here was some Video Game Hall of Fame news, Tim.
Okay.
The headline was Ocarina of Time Headlines Video Game Hall of Fame Class of 2022. But the big entries for us were Miss Pac-Man, and Dance Dance Revolution. So the World Video Game Hall of Fame has announced their 2022 inductees. 2 of the 4 games have their roots in arcade gaming, Miss Pac-Man and Dance Dance Revolution. For Miss Pac-Man, the museum called out its more sophisticated enemies and mazes in comparison to the original Pac-Man. With Dance Dance Revolution, the museum highlighted its influence on the genre of peripheral-based music games like Guitar Hero, Rock Band. What do you think of the decision to include these games in the Hall of Fame? Tim, what do you think about DDR and Miss Pac-Man? Deserving?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I would think that, of course, Miss Pac-Man probably out of... all-time favorites. This is one of my favorite games. If I just sometimes want to unwind, I'll play some Miss Pac-Man. Probably over Pac-Man any day.
Oh, yeah.
And so I do love some Miss Pac-Man. Still feel challenged by it even today. And then I think the DDR, how it just changed arcades and kind of brought some people back into arcades, brought a new crowd in and stuff, and so I can see both of those well-deserving awards, I would say.
I was gonna say, when we went to round 1 in Grapevine, Texas, Tim, when we were on when I was on spring break, you would not believe the amount of people. They had couches set up by the DDR machines because people would come in groups and they would take turns playing. And I mean, that's how it was. So, like, the DDR machines were all kind of around this corner. Around that corner, they had couches just set up for everybody to sit so they could take turns playing the games. I mean, it's so popular. DDR is still a big thing that people love to play. And it had a huge impact, Tim. I think you could say, like, on the early 2000s arcade, it brought a lot of people back. Well, not to the extent of, like, Street Fighter 2, but still, a lot of younger generations. That may have been one of the first arcade games they played.
And a lot of people that normally weren't that type of gamer, and it was physical exercise. I mean, I just remember to see the people sweat. I remember we had a female friend that lost some weight. I was like, what in the world have you been doing? She could noticeably tell she lost weight. She says, I've been playing DDR a lot. Right. And so, I think that it kind of just brought a different type of game, and I think that kind of carries over into some of today's VR games and stuff where you're active, you're moving, you're doing stuff. So, I love them both.
There you go. Michael says that watching drunk people play DDR is hilarious. It is hilarious. Agreed. At arcade auctions, sometimes that would happen. Back when we used to do that. So.
And I never felt like I had a lot of rhythm or anything. I'm not that type of person. Just never have been very coordinated like that. But after playing it when we have one at Chucky all the time, you do finally get pretty good at it, and you're like, oh, it is kind of fun. And so I can remember unlocking different songs, and then watching somebody who's really good at it is always fun, even today.
I got to where I could do a lot of the songs on hard, but like getting up to expert is really hard. It's and Rock Band Guitar Hero is like that for me as well.
Right.
So like getting to the hard level, I can get up there. It's like once you learn that you don't have to stand in the middle all the time. That's like when you've broken a wall all of a sudden. It's like, wait, I can go arrow to arrow now, kind of thing. But then getting up to the expert level, though, there's a lot of difference. And, the guys who can do the expert and beyond is amazing. So, it's a great game to me. I still like DDR. And, of course, Miss Pac-Man, still one of the games we get asked about more than any other game. Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, by far the 2 games I get asked about more than anything. Every so often a Donkey Kong, but not as much.
Probably the last collection game I would ever sell would be my Miss Pac-Man.
There you go.
If I had to.
Yeah. Okay, Tim, we have some Arcade 1-Up news. Speaking of and it looks like they've got 3 new cabinets available for pre-order. Now, Tim, you'll see the Centipede, the Mortal Kombat, and the Pac-Mania. That's what we have here. So it's the Atari Legacy Centipede Edition, the Midway Mortal Kombat 30th Anniversary Legacy Edition, and the Bandai Namco Legacy Pac-Mania. Each cabinet plays 14 games, comes with a light-up marquee and matching riser, and carries a $500 MSRP. I think these also have online play or online leaderboards, one or the other. So that's kind of nice. Yeah. But they are $500. Orders expected to be shipped in early June. They do come with the riser and the light-up marquee. Tim, that Centipede looks really close to an original Centipede. The Mortal Kombat looks really close to an original Mortal Kombat. They're getting better at mimicking it.
The Centipede kind of looks like a cabaret, and I think that by having the light-ups, marquees, and I think that they're kind of going to cross over. I'm starting to see some people that really used to hate them are starting to come around a little bit because they look more like an arcade game and feel like it. And for the price, I mean, what you're getting, I still think it's a great deal.
Agreed. Tim, do you notice anything missing on that Mortal Kombat cabinet artwork? There's a certain thing missing from it. If you know, maybe our live show people can spot it. What's missing on the Mortal Kombat side? I know it right off the bat. I mean, I saw it, but those of you guys who aren't is Mortal Kombat fans, Tim, do you know what it is?
Is it the Scorpion that's missing?
Not the Scorpion.
Okay, what is missing off of?
Should I get?
I can tell something.
I want to give the live chat a minute here, but yes, something is missing. Well, that's a Mortal Kombat 2.
Right? Okay.
So it's a little bit different, but let's see. We'll see if anybody chimes in on the or if you can guess.
I see the dragon down there.
The dragon is there.
Yeah, I see that.
But from the original, there is something very glaringly missing. And Riggs Show got it. Johnny Cage.
I was going to say, you're missing the person.
There was a person. Yeah, Johnny Cage used to be on the side of the cabinet, and now he's gone.
Okay.
So I guess they had to do that for licensing issues or something like that.
Probably so.
People are going to be producing a sticker that you can put on there, or a full side art with Johnny Cage on it. So if you want the original, you can. But yeah, Johnny Cage is missing.
Yeah.
So
you definitely tell something was
let's see. 19 K Fox says the modders have taken a real step back, though, at least from what I've seen in the promo images. We have seen that. So, like, I've noticed the pro models of the Golden Tee, Tim. Apparently, the viewing angle on those monitors is not as good as like mine, which is cheaper than the pro model. So, so they may be cheaping out a little bit on the monitor to cut some costs, guys. Guys, with inflation happening everywhere, I mean, they've got to do something exactly to cut some costs. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's where they did it. Viewing angle doesn't matter too much overall, Tim. When you're in an arcade cabinet, it's not like a television where you're looking at it from odd angles. So I don't know how big of a deal it really is, but at the same time, look, you're still paying a lot for them, so you really want to get something quality. So let's see, Mr. Dwayne 79. I want the Shaq NBA Jam arcade one up, but $700 is a little high. Have you seen the Shaq one?
Yes.
So, and the Shaq one's like a pro model. It's a little bit taller and everything like that. So it does look nice, but yeah, $700. I agree, a little on the high side. So, and Mr. Dwayne 79 also said Johnny Cage. That is correct. So,
good job, guys.
There we go. Okay, Tim. Now this one has a lot to do with you and your former employer.
All right.
Atari, Chuck E, and the Animatronic Pizza Wars. The Saturday Evening Post posted this article, Tim. The article covers the 45-year history of Chuck E. Cheese's from the opening of the first Pizza Time Theater in San Jose, California in 1977 to the challenges the company continues to face today from the COVID-19 fallout in 2020. And this is a quote from the article, Tim. For 45 years, Chuck E. Cheese has offered a different kind of restaurant experience. It's uncertain how long the concept of amusement park, arcade, and pizza parlor can last. On the other hand, Chuck E. has weathered changing times, tech, business crashes, and a global pandemic. Chances are that this is one rat, mouse, that won't be easily caught. So, Tim, it is the 45th anniversary of Chuck E. Cheese.
I can
you worked for a decade of that, 45 years, right? Pretty close to it. So
2 decades.
So give us some thoughts on Chuck E. Cheese as far as maybe where they were and where they are now.
From my friends that are still in the business, I wouldn't call any of them out because I know some things that are I know right now that every time I go by it's packed, and the Saturdays weekends are coming packed, birthdays are coming back. I know for a fact that Chuck E. Cheese sales numbers are beating 2019's.
Wow, okay.
So when you're beating 2019 sales before the pandemic, I think that they're going to be just fine. Okay. I really think that they're...
Now, they took on a lot of debt.
They did, and I think that they have restructured somewhat. I don't know if we'll ever see them publicly traded again, which is what I would like to see. But at the same time, when you're beating those sales, and a lot of people are still a little hesitant to go out, but I don't think not near as many people. When I was surprised when I was in New York, how many people are out and about not wearing masks, those type of things, restrictions. I got to fly without a mask for the first time. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be concerned. I wouldn't call things back to normal by any means, but at the same time, I think that a lot of people are getting back out and doing those things, and groups are going back out to Chuck E. Cheese, stuff like that, which was a big bread and butter when I was there. We did a lot of business from groups, birthday sales, things like that. So I do think they're definitely on the mend and on the rise.
Sounds good. Well, I hope that they can make it, Tim. I want Chuck E. Cheese to go until the wheels fall off. Hopefully they'll be around a long time. And as long as they keep producing, good quality games, I think kids will always like Chuck E. Cheese. And as long as there's good games there to play,
I think that's the biggest issue, the biggest obstacle they've had. There's just not much new coming out.
Sure.
But I do have some information. You might remember Eunice Games is now run by the guy who used to be the head of games at Chuck E. Cheese. He's also got my former district manager works for him. So Eunice Games has actually hired some former Chuck E. Cheese people, and I don't think that's not anything I can't tell. But the fact that they're in the business now that produces the games means that Chuck E. has, I think, a future and games that they will know that will work and hopefully will last and have a little better quality.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Tim. Well, we wish Chuck E. at least another 45 years, maybe more, hopefully. So hopefully they'll be around a long time. So, and you don't have any. You still love Chuck E. Cheese, even though you didn't take the job. You know, animosity there, right?
No ill will feelings at all. A lot of people know I went back for a short stint, and with just a better job fit for me in this stage of my life. But still always have a lot of great memories there, and just even being a kid, it's a good place. I was up inside a sky tube doing an inspection today, and just brought back a flood of memories of and always being in the sky tubes. Of course, it's usually clean up vomit or something at Chuck E. Cheese, but or some kid peed up there. But at the same time, it was a good. Great experience. Wish them nothing but the best. Hope that they have many years more success.
I have video of my brother's birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. I think when he turned 6.
Oh, fun!
And we didn't have one here at that time. There was one in Shreveport.
Wow!
And we had a lot of family in Shreveport, so it's actually video from the Shreveport Chuck E. Cheese, and of my brother's birthday. So I actually have footage from Chuck E. Cheese. I should put it up online, maybe.
Yeah, you should.
So
That'd be cool.
Point. I don't know if it's like one of those things. I need to ask permission from my family and stuff.
Right.
But, anyway. Now, Tim, this was something that came across the feed, and it was just so unusual that this Nintendo Skyhawk game, somebody posted the footage from the game. So Skyhawk is a long lost Nintendo arcade game that includes 16mm film footage of remote control fighter planes, Tim.
Okay.
So this footage recently surfaced from this game. The game used 16mm film footage of remote-controlled fighter planes. To play, you must shoot down enemy planes that are projected onto a screen. You shoot as many planes as you can in 60 seconds. The realistic graphics and explosive sounds make Skyhawk stand out from Nintendo's other games. Have you played this Nintendo arcade game? And Tim, before I saw the cabinet, I had never even seen one before. And guys, we've seen a lot of games. We've been to arcade auctions. We've been to arcade festivals. We've seen all sorts of rare stuff, but I had never seen the cabinet for Nintendo Skyhawk.
I don't think I ever have either.
I mean, you got to remember, guys, this is 1976, so this predates a lot of... obviously, it predates a lot of... raster graphic or vector graphic type games, and so this is more of like what you would find with like the classic type of arcade games, right, Tim? Like pinball machines before flippers and stuff like that. Now, even though in the 70s we had flippers at that point, but it's more of those classic style arcade games before screens and monitors and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe it was a little too far ahead of its time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But Nintendo's still around, Tim. So it's pretty awesome, and you guys can go look up more information about Skyhawk. If you do a search for it on Google, you'll find a lot of information about it. But the footage is very interesting, and the way that the game worked was really interesting too. So you can, like I said, look that up. Basically, it had like 2 screens that would flip between with a mirror, Tim, that would kind of show you like when you were supposed to shoot and everything like that. It's very cool for the time, very advanced for its time, and cool stuff. So just something I don't think anybody thought would surface, Tim. Just footage of this arcade game. Who knew? So anyway.
Crazy.
So you guys check that out. Links below if you want to see the footage, and you can also see flyer and information if you do a search online. So. Let's see. Danny said, I remember Chuck E. Cheese before it was Chuck E. Cheese when they were more classic games back then. I think it was Showbiz Pizza, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But Showbiz and Chuck E. were actually competitors.
Right.
And some of the guys from Chuck E. left. In fact, if you read the story, it's like they had some kind of falling out with Nolan Bushnell and they started their own. And then they would be right across the street from each other, like McDonald's and Burger King, to the fact that they realized that they were cutting what business there was in half, and both of them were struggling, so they decided to combine the two. So you do have some Showbiz that didn't have anything to do with Chuck E. Cheese, and then later you'll find Chuck E. Cheese Pizza Time Theater and a Showbiz.
Right.
So a little bit of combining there, but yeah, Showbiz was actually... a lot of games. Nolan, of course, wanted a lot of Atari games and stuff at Chuck E. And These had a lot of more mixture of different types of games, Nintendo and so forth, during that time, if I remember correctly.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, it makes sense to have Atari games there.
Yeah.
I mean, considering all. So, Danny says, I know it's for the kids, but got to have older games for the parents to remember, though. Me and Tim had tried to pitch this a long time ago, where they should have a classic game corner in the store.
Yes.
For the parents to play and also for the kids to play. Guys, I took my Pac-Man machine to this family reunion. There were kids and adults there, and kids and adults played the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like these games, they stand the test of time. Pac-Man, classic arcade games. And you know why, Tim? It's kind of like what you're talking about with Willy Wonka and Stranger Things. You could get in front of them, pick them up, and start playing them.
Well, I think you will see like the world's largest Pac-Man, those games there. For that reason, there is some nostalgia type games.
Galaga Assault.
Galaga Assault.
But why not put like an actual
Space Invaders,
classic game? That's what
I think that just the upkeep and stuff of them, I think there's a little bit of fear there. But if I do feel like that they should all have at least one newer pinball game, but you hardly ever see a pinball game anymore.
It's true. So. Let's see. Tim D6 is here. He says, hey guys, I'm working on a centipede cocktail table that will play fine for about 1 to 2 minutes. Then the screen starts in a non-stop vertical scrolling, Tim. So it sounds like there's something that's heating up there, probably in the vertical section of your arcade monitor there, that whenever it starts to warm up or heat up, then it's basically, it may be letting through more voltage or less voltage and starting the scrolling. So you probably need to check the vertical section of it. And Tim, the vertical section is typically where the yoke plugs in, correct? Mm-hmm. So, like, check around all the components around where the yoke plugs in from the monitor tube, and then check that area.
Touch up the solder on all those components back there.
Agreed. So, like, anything in that vertical section, make sure you do. That's very common for stuff like that. You'll find the vertical IC in that section as well. So make sure that make sure the vertical IC is in good shape, and then check all components around the vertical IC, and make sure if you get us a specific model of monitor, we can give you a little bit more insight as to that. So if you know if it's a Wells Garner or something like that, model will help a lot. But you can always send that information to questions@arcaderepairtips.com via email if you need additional help. So send it over there. We'll help you out there. Okay, Tim. The last bit of news here was kind of the biggest piece of news, and I posted it as soon as it very shortly after it was posted on Reddit, but I think we got more response from the Ars Technica article about it, because the Ars Technica article went into more history about the game, whereas the Reddit post was just basically one of the MAME devs saying, hey, the Marble Madness 2 ROM has been dumped and I've got it working in MAME. That's basically all that post was. But Ars Technica actually goes into the history of the game. So this article here, it says, after 30 years, the world can now play the lost Marble Madness 2. And so, for decades, Atari's scrap prototype arcade sequel, Marble Madness 2, has been one of the unemulated holy grails for the popular multi-platform emulator MAME. This has limited gameplay access to a handful of rare cabinet collectors and convention goers. That changed this week, though, with the unexpected and unexplained leak of a full Marble Madness 2 ROM that can now be played by the world at large. So, Tim, this was a prototype, wasn't released. There's a collector out in California that has, I think, the joystick and the trackball prototypes of the game. So a lot of people who have played it up to this point played it at, like, California Extreme, for instance. But he had not dumped those ROMs, Tim, and nobody else had. And then all of a sudden, guess what? The ROMs show up on 4chan.
Okay.
Like, just out of the blue. And so now they're posted. It's the joystick version of the game. So not... They had a trackball version first, Tim, but I think there was something that joystick games were earning more at that point, and so they decided to adapt it with a joystick. And people are saying that the trackball code is not in the joystick version of the game. So it's actually two different ROM sets. So unfortunately, we only have the joystick version right now, but maybe eventually the trackball version of the game will be dumped. So, Tim, what do you know of Marble Madness 2? What is your knowledge of the game? Have you ever seen or played it at a convention before? Probably not.
Nope, never seen, never heard of it.
Yeah.
Till recently. So.
You know Marble Madness.
Right,
I mean,
sure.
It's a beloved classic
and
at
I
this
could
point.
see why they would do a sequel to it. I'm kind of surprised it never was released.
Yeah, and, it looks kind of cool because because it's kind of like two marbles racing at the same time. But they also tried to overlay more modern graphics on it, because you got to remember this was like the early 90s, so they had more graphics that they could put, and by doing that they kind of messed it up, I think, a little bit.
Maybe.
I mean, the attraction of Marble Madness to me was the way it looked, like, but they added like some sprite-based components and stuff like that and graphics and things, and it almost moderns it up too much, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it is cool that you get to race against somebody and you guys are trying to get to the finish line first or whatever. So, I mean, it looks really
Great
nice.
concept.
I have not played it yet, but at some point I'm hoping I'll be able to get the ROMs and try it out. So, I mean, this is what MAME is for to me, is for preserving games that would have been totally lost otherwise. Because this did not see a wide release. This was only a prototype game. And so without MAME, Tim, nobody would ever get to play this. This just would have sat and eventually probably would have gone away at some point.
Sure.
So the fact that we have it now, it's being preserved for future generations. They can now know that there was a Marble Madness 2 prototype that Atari was working on at one point. So cool stuff. Love it. So anyway, if you guys have played Marble Madness 2 in the live chat, let us know, by the way. So, or if you're watching this after the fact, say down below in the comments if you played it and what your thoughts are. I want to hear them. So, well, Tim, I think that's going to do it for the live show tonight. And so I'll go ahead and go into our normal spill here that we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Be sure to put a plug in for your channel so people know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. And Tim, we did this with Regular Show not that long ago, Tim, where we did basically a pre-show. We showed his video during the pre-show. And,
great video.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of, it just gives a lot of exposure to smaller channels that may not have as many subscribers, or even larger channels who would like some more subscribers. We originally did this because YouTube was going through and demonetizing a lot of smaller channels, and we wanted to help those guys out. So if there's a way that we can help you out, you want to be featured on our channel, let us know, and we'd be happy to feature you here. Tim, before we move on to the contact information, looks like we just got a question in from Cold Flesh and Fangs. He says, I have an issue with my California Speed PCB board. When I plugged it in, the PCB board sparked with little flames in on a tiny square capacitor. It took the PCB off, and there was a piece of aluminum. Can I get it fixed? So, yes, you can. The only thing that we know that would cause that, Tim, would have been a voltage issue of some sort, unless there was something else on the board that went awry. As far as these newer style games like this, Eldorado Games is very good. They are not cheap, but they are very good for repairs, right, Tim? So Eldorado Games they specialize kind of in these newer style Midway and Atari style driving games. And so EldoradoGames.com, right, Tim?
Yes.
So that would be the place to send it off. There may be some other places that repair it too. I can't think of off the top of my head.
I probably wouldn't. Because of that, you don't know what the root cause was either. So just replacing that component may not do you any good. So I would probably, in your situation, recommend you send it off to somebody who does board repairs.
We have a list of board repair people on our resources page at resources.arcaderepairtips.com. If you go under the board repair and PCB heading, you can find them there. Eldorado Games is there. Again, Eldorado's games, though, they have good turnaround time, but they're not cheap. They mostly do work for operators, I believe, too, which is why they're not cheap, is that, operators want to get their boards fixed and returned as soon as possible. So, but Eldorado Games would be the place that we'd recommend for it. And he says, Eldorado, thank you, yeah. So, or if you want to find a cheaper option, you may check our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources and check the board repair heading on there. So, okay, let us continue on here with our contact information, Tim. So, change slide. Boom. We have our general email at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Put live show in the subject if you want to get it mentioned on the show. Otherwise, we'll try to get around to it whenever we get a chance. That's questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com. We have our YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, and comments from the last live show will be covered on the next episode. Tim, I try to cover comments from any video that we get on the live show. So I do reply to those comments. We do reply to those comments on the YouTube pages as well, but we also try to cover them here on the live show for a little additional information. So again, comments from any comments left on our YouTube videos, we usually try to cover here. But if you're listening to this on the audio feed and you want to know where to find us, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com will take you to the YouTube page where you can look up this episode. Quick reminder about the audio podcast, guys. It does not contain the after show, and if you want to listen to the after show, you will need to watch it on the YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Teasers for the after show coming up here in a bit, right, Tim?
Yes.
Okay. Podcast feed, okay, so that includes our live shows, interviews, question and answer podcast, etc. You can find those on iTunes at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com, itunes.arcaderepairtips.com. And what we'll always say is if you enjoy the content that you hear here and want to give us 5 stars, make sure you leave us a review there. If you don't, please send us an email. Let us know what we can improve on. We'd love to hear your comments and suggestions. And then, Tim, we have our Spotify page at spotify.arcaderepairtips.com. We have our Stitcher radio page at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com. Or you can find us wherever fine podcasts are aggregated. Basically, if you do a search for Arcade Repair Tips on any podcast platform, you'll find us. So, again, we have iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and pretty much any podcast platform you will find us. Just do a search for Arcade Repair, and we'll be there. And then, Tim, we have our social media pages. We have our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. We always want to thank Mark for all the work that he puts into posting stuff, especially the pinball stuff, on our Facebook page. Tim, we've had a lot of... I've been trying to put more content out there as I find content. So a lot of the posts that you've seen recently are probably from me. There was a deal on a Fluke 116 multimeter, Tim.
Saw that.
Pretty good deal. If you guys aren't on our Twitter feed or our Facebook page, you're missing out on deals, right, Tim?
Right.
So you could get a good deal on a Fluke multimeter or something else. So again, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com for our Facebook page, or twitter.arcaderepairtips.com if you want to follow us on Twitter. Our handle is just Arcade Repair Tips. Very easy to remember. You can send questions in there. Or if you just would rather follow us on Twitter instead of Facebook, all the information gets cross-posted to both platforms. So, again, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com and twitter.arcaderepairtips.com for our social media feeds. Well, Tim, that about wraps it up for the regular show here. Moving into the after show. So tell us what we're going to talk about in the after show.
Well, I didn't really get a chance much, but I do have some shows that I'll talk about that I have been watching recently. Came really close to going to see Top Gun last night. Didn't get to. So,
oh, man.
But I would like to mention it. I think that it is worth going to see, and I can't wait to see it. Probably will have seen that by this weekend. We'll talk about a little bit of sports talk, probably about investments, maybe some news.
I did buy a stock, a single stock of something.
A stock, okay. I'd be interested to know.
Something that Tim has held in the past.
I have not been buying much at all. I've been holding some. Definitely some bag holding on a few, but I am holding on for dear life on a few stocks. But that's who knows? Whatever else comes up in a live chat and whatever we discuss. So.
Absolutely. We'll be talking about Memorial Day. Hopefully you guys had a good one. And then, of course, like you said, Tim, sports. Me and Tim both watched the Mavericks games leading up to when we lost to the Warriors, so we can talk about that a little bit. Tim, last live show, I said that I already had tickets to go see Doctor Strange.
You did.
So I saw it. And so we can talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And Tim, we just found out today that will be coming to Disney Plus on June 22nd. So everybody will be able to watch it here in 20 days if you have Disney Plus. So there you go. But we'll be talking about some other movies that I've been watching and things like that as well. So we hope that you stay tuned for the after show, which precedes the regular live show here in just about 5 minutes. So if you're here watching us live, just wait about 5 minutes. Let's go to the restroom, get a drink of water and things like that. We'll be right back with you. But if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, then we want to thank you for listening. If you're watching this live and you're going to get off here and not come to the after show, that's fine too. We want to thank all of you guys for participating and watching tonight. We had a great live chat tonight, Tim. As always, a lot of great guys in there. One more thing here, Tim, by Cold Flesh and Fangs. He says, my off-road challenge, when I turn it on, the screen is green, but the board does not turn on. When I change the power supply, the board turns on, but not the screen. What could be wrong? It sounds like the first board may actually be having some sort of issue. Mm-hmm. So when you're changing, like it says, my screen is green, but the board does not turn on. When I change the power supply, the board turns on, but not the screen. So when you say the board turns on, does that just mean you can hear it? Would be the question. And the power supply, a lot of times for the monitor, the monitor doesn't go through the switching power supply. It should be the same power supply. Unless you're having like one of those multi-tap style power supplies, Tim, where like you're hooking up the power and everything like that. What you may try doing is using the power supply where the board works and then hooking power up to the monitor directly from the AC line. What do you think about that, Tim?
I think so.
So you may try that and see if that works. So basically tapping the monitor directly into the power instead of having it go through like a multi-tap style ATX style power supply, actually taking it from the wall into the isolation transformer and then back up to the monitor, so that way you can see if it works that way. And then see if it works as well with the the board that works. Because if that power supply is working, but it's not putting out, it may not be putting out AC power on the outlets that you need. You may just need a brand new power supply, but if you get power, at least temporarily, directly from the wall AC to the isolation transformer, and then with the power supply that works with the board, at least that'll let you know whether or not you've got a working game, right, Tim?
Yeah.
And then at that point, you may decide just to get a whole new power supply. So
Correct.
There we go. Okay, so with that said, Tim, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Is there anything you want to say before we head on to the after show or see these fine people next month?
No, and we can come back to that question in the after show too if you have some follow-ups, and we will talk about anything else, anything including arcade games and repair during the after show, so stick around if you can.
Absolutely, yeah. We also take questions in the after show, guys. The after show, the only difference between it and the regular show is during the regular show, we limit our topics specifically to arcade stuff. In the after show, anything goes.
Anything goes.
Arcade stuff goes as well, but pretty much anything goes from there. So there's no topic that's off limits there. We can talk about anything. So anyway, so I think we're going to head on to the after show for this month, but we want to thank all of you guys for tuning in right here. We hope that you guys have a great month, and we'll see you back here for the July show. Tim, when is the July show? Is it gonna? I was about to say I don't know if it's actually gonna fall on. Is it gonna fall on
when
like
is
the
4th?
Yeah, I was about
pretty
to say.
close.
No, it'll be the 7th. Perfect.
7th.
So we actually have 5 weeks, Tim. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have 5 weeks until the next show. Usually we have 4, Tim. So we will see everybody back here on Thursday, July 7th.
So in the meantime, have a happy 4th of July.
Absolutely.
Enjoy some time with friends and family. Enjoy your summer.
Absolutely.
And get some games going in the meantime.
Yes, and if you need to get in contact with us, of course, questions at arcaderepairtips.com in the meantime. But we want to thank you again for watching. Stay tuned for the after show if you can. And remember, here at Arcade Repair Tips, when we fix the game,
We play the game.
take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon, either in the after show or next month for our next live show.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
we're back. Oh, man, we're mic'd. We're mic'd. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. Welcome to the after show, everybody. Hopefully the regular live show went well for everyone. We had a good crowd here. It was a nice night, and we appreciate you guys staying tuned with us instead of watching the Biden speech or whatever else it was on TV tonight. So we appreciate that. So we always appreciate it when you guys are here and can interact with us. It's always fun. So now this is the after show, like we mentioned at the end of the regular live show. Basically, this is mine and Tim's chance to just hang out and talk about some of the stuff that we've been doing, because we don't always get to talk a whole lot, right? So this is the opportunity for me to catch up with Tim and to find out what's been going on with him, and then to share some shows we've been watching, and just to hang out with you too, because maybe you just need to hang out as well. You just want to talk with two guys about some shows you've been watching, some things you've been trying, some different places you've been going, whatever the case may be. So, Tim, let's start with your trip real quick. So, as we mentioned in the regular live show, you had gone to El Paso, Texas, and to northern New York?
Yeah, Rochester and Syracuse, which are right on the border of the Great Lake, Ontario.
Okay.
And near the Erie Canal.
Gotcha.
You hear those things or sung about them in grade school. I was a little too far to go to Niagara Falls. It was the opposite direction, but I could have. It was pretty close, hour and a half or something. So Syracuse and Rochester, very good places to visit. Had some really good food. In fact, one of the concepts I thought would be perfect for Texas. New York has a place. If you've been there in your live chat, I'm going to mention the name of a restaurant. If you've been in New York, a lot of New Yorkers know about it. It's kind of like a secret place, because there's only there, and now they have one in Pennsylvania, a place called Tully's. If you've ever been to Tully's, you know what I'm fixing to say. That's some good food. The concept was this, though. Picture, what do we like about Dave & Buster's?
Games, food.
All right, games and food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Atmosphere.
What would probably our wives not like about Dave & Buster's? Or some of our family members or friends? Too many games, right?
Yeah,
too noisy.
Maybe. Yeah, too noisy.
Too much. Right. A little overwhelming. Okay. Here's the deal. I know a lot of guys. You ever take your wife to Twin Peaks, or you ever go to Hooters with her? Of course not, right?
Right.
Maybe if a group of guys want to get together, a bachelor party or something, but it's not the place you would want to go.
Right.
Okay. Tully's is the combination of a guy's bar with a family atmosphere. So they have a turtle as their mascot. So the waitresses, even walk-ons. I love walk-ons food.
Right.
But I still feel a little bit uncomfortable there. I don't know what it is. When me and my wife go, we both love the food.
Food is good.
But it's just that little bit of it still has that guy's bar atmosphere.
Right.
This Tully's is a place for the whole family. So you had sports, news on TV, a bar area, beer, all kinds of craft beers and stuff. But they also had a small game room, 20-25 games, for the kids. And I could hardly even hear them. Okay, but they were there, and the kids were all having a good time and playing, winning prizes. I kept seeing them come back with toys and stuff. So, not an overwhelming game room, not an overwhelming bar, and waitresses dressed with T-shirts and jeans. Okay, so would have felt comfortable with wife and kids there.
Sure.
So, kind of a combination of a Dave & Buster's with a sports bar, walk-ons or something, with really, really, really good food. Everybody I talked to said, you got to go to Tully's, you got to try the chicken. I got chicken fingers and steak combo. That's what was on sale, so I thought I'd try it. Mashed potatoes were the best, and coming from a southern guy, better than my mama's mashed potatoes. They were just so good.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, they would slap your mama naked, hide her clothes. They were good, you know. And then the chicken fingers were, I don't know what they did to them fingers, but I was like, I love Slim's chickens, love Raising Cane's, love chicken. There's no chicken that I haven't met that I don't like. And they were just beyond. They were just like, oh my gosh, these are really, really good, very juicy, good. Steak was okay, you know, but wasn't why I got it. So food at Tully's was good. Atmosphere. Place has been open for years and packed every night. You got to almost get a reservation or get there early. It was packed. Everyone I saw and went to. So if you've ever been in New York, ever had Tully's, throw a thumbs up. You know what I'm talking about. So that was good. Now I did try. I also went to Sticky Lips Barbecue. which is kind of a unique place. They pride on what they call kind of Texas barbecue. I'm going to have to argue with that one a little bit. I've never had barbecue like that. Wasn't bad, was good. Wasn't Texas style, though, to me.
What would you call it closer to?
I don't know that I've had anything like this.
Okay.
They would call it something my grandpa made because it had like pork and beans, French fries, and macaroni and cheese with a barbecue all on top of that.
Oh.
So you're getting a bite of barbecue and a French fry and mac and cheese all in one bite.
Gotcha.
Now, if you're a person that don't like to mix your food, I wouldn't highly recommend it. Let me tell you something, though. It was good. I mixed it all, just swirled it around together and ate it all, pork and beans all in one bite. That's different for us. I don't think that you would see the barbecue all on top of that. I'll have to show you a picture, John. It's just hard to picture. It literally was all over. You couldn't eat it for not getting a bite of something else.
Gotcha.
So you kind of have to like that too, and I did like it, and it was good. And of course, though, when you're in New York, what do you got to have? New York pizza, right? And big slice of pizza. It didn't disappoint at all. Great pizza places.
Foldable?
Yeah.
It's got to be foldable.
You got to fold it up and eat that thing like a calzone,
yeah,
you know?
that's what I'm talking about.
It was some good pizza. And that was probably, I didn't think the food, I was worried about inflation and things. Price of gas was about $4.99. I remember the rental car I had, I put in $85 one time, and then another time I put in $50. So in a week's time, I spent $130. I didn't. Company, of course, did. $135 in gas. I thought was a little excessive, but not much worse than $162 it cost me to park at the Dallas airport.
Right.
So stuff's just going up. I expected the food to be a little bit more expensive, and I would say some places were, but most of your places, McDonald's, Wendy's, was all same prices here.
Yeah.
About the same price. And I thought for the value of that barbecue place, for the amount of food I got was actually decent. For barbecues here is high.
Yeah, it is.
It's one of the most expensive things you can go out and eat besides a really nice steak or something. So, me, like I said, I like to check out the arcades and like to check out the eating places. So those were always good. What's funny is we have a Dunkin' Donuts here.
We do.
Okay, we have one, right? One in Tyler. We're the next one. There's one in Nacogdoches.
There's one in Longview, I think.
And maybe one in Longview.
Yeah.
And 100-mile radius till you get to Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't even know if there is one in Shreveport. Okay.
Yeah, there's probably got. Yeah, there's probably one.
There are so many. They just become a client of ours. There are so many on the East Coast. They had to hire 13 people just to handle the workload.
Oh, I know.
When I went from a 5-mile trip from my hotel to the first work stop, 5 miles was a Wendy's. I ran across 3 Dunkin' Donuts. They are everywhere. So if you live up north, you know this. I'm like, you guys really like Dunkin' Donuts. Mm-hmm. And they won't be the combination like they have here. It'll be just a Dunkin' Donuts. You might see Baskin Robbins, but not very many combinations like we have.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I ate a lot of Dunkin' Donuts because it was quick and I could get it reasonable to get a donut and a coffee every morning. That was my routine. Then I would try to splurge on. I ate some. You go eat fish. You don't see catfish there at all. You see like halibut and haddock and stuff like that, which is very good fish. I enjoyed that. And then at night I would eat a bigger meal and try to eat something that normally I wouldn't get to eat here.
Sure.
So great trip overall. But there's no place like home. And getting back home was a challenge. If you've been flying anywhere lately, tons of cancellations.
Yep.
All of them are overbooked. Every plane I was on had a standby list of 20 people.
Not enough staff and pilots.
Not enough staff and pilots, and it's just lots of people that I know. Some people that got stuck in Rhode Island, and it was basically, you guys got to leave, come back tomorrow. Well, or you're going to put us up in a hotel. Back in the day, if they canceled your flight, they would put out the red carpet for you. Nope, see you tomorrow. And we had people that were stuck without a hotel, that couldn't even spend the night in the airport, that had to find a place to stay, Airbnb or whatever. So travel, and definitely it was coming into Memorial Day weekend, which I know we're going to talk about. So it was like really, I could not. Every plane I got on was full, cram full, and a lot of people out and traveling, and realistically, the price of a flight has went up some. But not so much if you considered what it would cost in gas to drive to New York. It would be crazy. It would probably be more than a plane trip now,
sure.
And just in gas. So, got back right in time for a 3-day weekend for Memorial Day weekend. What was your?
I mentioned we had a family reunion. Before I get to that though,
okay.
Cold Fangs Flesh and Fangs says he's from El Paso. So
okay.
We talked about that.
Awesome,
he's now in San Antonio since 2000, it looks like.
Okay.
Do you guys repair PCBs yourselves? We used to do a lot more of that, but we've stopped, and we definitely don't. We haven't done any of the newer style PCBs. Most of what we would repair would be 80s style PCBs, Pac-Man, that kind of stuff. The newer stuff, though, we typically leave to people who have the equipment to do that kind of stuff. So
right, we don't hardly do any repairs other than our own games now.
Yeah, exactly.
Every
so often somebody.
Well, we share the knowledge here because we have families and full-time jobs, and that takes up all the time these days.
Yeah, exactly. He says Dave & Buster's rules. Yes, it does. We love it, Dave & Buster's. Let's see. Adam says, anyone fix T2 arcade PCB board still? So we mentioned earlier in the show, Adam, I don't know if you're here, but Eldorado Games. Eldorado Games will probably be one of the ones that'll fix that. It'll be expensive, but they will do repairs on it. But you can reach out to any of the PCB that we list on our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. There's a PCB repair section heading under that, and just find a list there. You may be able to find somebody cheaper. Eldorado Games is going to run you a pretty penny, but there are some other ones that may be a little cheaper for you to do that repair. So back to Memorial Day weekend real quick. So we had a family reunion, Tim. My mom had her brother and sister and their kids basically come in. So all my cousins and my uncle and my aunts.
Are these the ones from
Shreveport?
Okay.
Yeah, so they're all from Shreveport. And as you guys may have known, my grandmother passed away, that's about a year and a half ago now. And so this was like the first time that we'd all kind of gotten together since then. So, and that, like I said, that was about a year and a half ago now. And so it was nice. Unfortunately, the cousin that's the closest in age to me could not come. He was busy with work and some other things. But I did get to see some of my younger cousins, and they got to play. I set out the arcade one-up Pac-Man. I took that over to my parents' house so they could play it. We have those big inflatable bonsai slides. Mm-hmm. So I took one of ours over there, and man, the kids just had a ball with that thing. And me and my mom worked on converting. My grandfather had taken a lot of 8mm video, Tim.
Nice.
And so me and my mom converted it all, and then I went through and I added music to it, and so we gave everybody a copy of that, and we watched that during the little family reunion, and they were trying to pick out the places and the time periods and all this kind of stuff.
What a fun time.
It has video of my grandmother and grandfather's wedding on it.
Priceless.
And some other things. So, and this is all video we had no idea existed until after she passed away, and they were going through the house, and then she just finds this big box.
I've got some of that on my dad I need to do. That's
so
awesome.
Here's the deal. If you've got it, Tim, you need to convert it immediately because it's only degrading over time. So if you've got video, guys, that's just sitting there, convert it to digital as quickly as possible because it degrades. Now, here's the deal. You take an 8mm, do you know how big an 8mm picture is? It's like this big.
Yes.
You take that and you blow it up to a 55-inch television. It doesn't look great. But considering the time period, it looks better than you think.
Wow.
So it really came out good, and it's so awesome to have a little bit of that video. I mean, there's video of my mom and her sister and her brother going on summer vacations together with my grandfather and my grandmother. So I mean, stuff like that's priceless. You'll never be able to get that again. So if you do get that stuff, what I usually do is I burn it to what we call an M disc, Tim. It's a special kind of blank CD that's supposed to last 1,000 years once you burn it. Okay, M disc. And so I burned them all M disc of it. So that way, because the thing about flash memory, Tim, like flash cards, is that they have a read-write cycle on them. They only last so long. CDs, they can get disc rot. DVDs, regular CDs and DVDs can. But M-disc, like I said, are supposed to last 1,000 years. It takes forever to burn them. They only burn at like 2 speed. But once they're burned, it's like etched in stone kind of
Wow.
thing. So,
I didn't know that.
There. So, yeah, we gave them all M-disc copies of it. And so that's what I did. That's what I did on Saturday.
Okay.
On Sunday, we went to church, and then we had a big bounce event at the church. So we went to the big bounce event at the church. And then Monday, we stayed here at the house. I cooked some steaks, listened to some yacht rock, because that's what I like to do when I'm cooking my steaks. You know what I'm saying, Tim? So, just had a good old time. So, but you know, guys, at the same time, you know, anytime I pray or I think about that, I always think about all the people who sacrificed for that holiday. You don't even realize it.
Memorial Day's a different holiday for me because I heard some people popping fireworks and stuff, and I'm like,
that's the thing here now.
It kind of seems a little sacrilegious to me. I'm like, I don't have a problem with cooking out and getting with family, but really, it's about people that sacrifice so that we do have those freedoms and we can do those things. So I always try to keep it in perspective, and I hope my kids know that you know, we're a very pro-military family, that we are very thankful for those people that gave their lives, gave the ultimate sacrifice, you know.
So during the family reunion, I got to talk to my uncle, and one of my uncles, and his father had just passed away. So this was an uncle-in-law. Mm-hmm. But his father had just passed away. His father fought in Vietnam, and he passed away of COPD, they think from Agent Orange.
Yes.
Okay, but
Very
he had
common.
a lot of buddies that they went to war in Vietnam and didn't come home.
Right.
And so that's what you think about when you think about Memorial Day. It's
Yeah.
all the people who made the sacrifice for us.
But I do love to get together and cook out. We had a different cookout that day.
Oh, did you?
So,
What'd you cook out?
Well, something I had not planned on cooking out that day. I thought, well, we'd pick up some burgers or something. We had steaks, I think, the day before, Saturday or something. So it got to Monday, and we were kind of like, well, what are we really going to do? We were moving some stuff, and we didn't have a lot of plans. And my sister-in-law's boyfriend, there's a little pond near our house about 3 or 4 blocks. And he asked if there was any fishing. I said, only one way to find out, you know. So he went down there and he caught some fish.
Hey.
And caught some crappie or white perch, some people call them. And you can't buy those in stores. So it's a game fish here in Texas that to me is one of the best fish to eat. And so he's like, y'all want to cook some fish? And so we're like, well, we didn't even have a cooker, you know, because we don't fry many foods. And so we're like, well, I guess so. We went to Walmart, got a cooker, and so we had a fish fry, which
Wow.
I would have never thought we would have a fish fry that day, but it ended up excellent. We had some, you know, the typical hush puppies and fries and stuff to go with it. So kind of back to my old redneck days, or whatever you want to call them. We had caught some fish and ate them that night. You know, that's kind of the
We've done that before. My parents, you know, lived right down from a lake,
Right.
and so we would do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Filleting them though, you got to fillet them and prepare
Right.
them. It takes some
and,
work.
and you don't really fillet crappie, so
That's true.
they have a lot of bones.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. But if you can get it right off the bone, it'll come right off, and you can eat it. So that was just different. I was not expecting on having fish that day, but you know, something like a good old-fashioned southern fish fry every once in a while, just to need to do something like that. And it was kind of neat. They caught them. Cheap supper. Yeah. Besides, we had to buy a cooker, but it wasn't that expensive. Probably about. I'm the kind of guy, when I like fish, I just go out and eat it. You know, but it was fun.
So let's talk about investments just real quick, Tim. So I mentioned I bought a stock.
Yeah. What did you buy?
I bought 1 share of AMC.
Okay.
And it's because I signed up to be an AMC Perks member. And when I signed up, it asked, "Are you a shareholder?"
Oh, okay.
And I said,
No.
"No," but
Okay.
it said that you got extra benefits if you were a shareholder. So I'm like, I can buy a share of stock. It was only $13.
Okay.
So I bought a share of AMC just so I could get whatever perks come with being a shareholder for AMC. But I did sign up for their Premier Perks program.
Well.
So I am now a Premier Perks AMC. Because here's the thing I discovered. So when we had Sonic the Hedgehog and I went to Doctor Strange, I've discovered something. I rediscovered that I love going to the movie theater. I absolutely love going to the
Me
movie
too.
theater.
That's why I can't wait to see that.
Exactly. So, like, when I went to go see, when we rented the whole theater for Sonic 2 for my birthday, I was just like, I love movie theaters. I forgot how much I like movie theaters. And then I saw Doctor Strange, Tim, and again, forgot how much I like movie theaters. Movie theaters are the way to see movies.
Yes.
It is. And they've shortened the window now, which I think is great. Like, it's like 45 or 60 days from the time something is released to the time it comes home.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. A good movie you want to see in the movie theater. Top Gun, I want to see in a movie theater. It's like, you can see it at home, but it's not the same. Jurassic Park,
You gotta see it at the movie
gotta
theater.
see it at the movie theater. It's just, it is what it is, Tim. And so I have discovered that I like going to movies. So I bought 1 share of AMC just so I could say I was a shareholder when I got my perks program.
Okay.
So I own 1 share. It was $13. It had come down from its Top Gun Maverick kind of upswing there. So,
and I'll tell you a secret: if you haven't eaten the food at AMC lately, they got good food.
Do they?
They got good chicken.
I didn't realize.
They ain't Tilly's chicken, but try it
at a theater.
Yeah, try it. They got chicken fingers. You can get chicken fingers next time you go. Trust me, you'll like them. They also have good pizza bites. And
I get discounts on the
like
concession, so I'm gonna have to do that now.
It's actually reasonably priced, and for what you get, it's a pretty good meal. If you compare like one of the competitors down the street where you go and eat, it's can be very expensive. AMC, you can save a lot of money for eating and watching a movie on a good day. So try AMC food. It's actually way improved.
There you go. The other thing that I bought was that when Bitcoin hit 28, I followed the Tim rule and I said, well, Bitcoin's below 30,000. I think I'm going to buy. So I bought some, and guess what? It's up above 30,000.
Okay.
So I've already made some money.
Nice.
So the Tim rule is always good, right? If it drops below 30,000, you just go ahead and buy.
Yep.
So, and it worked for me. So I'm making some money right now.
I'm kind of looking at Blaze every time it dips to 5 in the 5s. I buy 5 because it was 15 3 months ago.
Right, that's true.
So I have a feeling that hopefully we get through this recession and everything will get better.
Yeah, so I mean, there's some deals right now, guys. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And the reason why there are is because nobody wants to put their money in it, okay? And so if you can find good companies to put your money in, you're basically getting them for a discount, if you will. So stuff to look out for. But anyway.
Good time to invest for the future all.
Yes, exactly. So let's talk about the Mavericks real quick. Tim, post-mortem, I guess, because I didn't think we'd make it as far as we made it. I think that is amazing in itself. The Utah series was great. I didn't think we would get out of the Utah series, but we did. And that because we didn't have Luka for like 3 games of that series.
Right.
Okay, and then he came back in game 4. And and then we were able to win that series, and I thought for sure Phoenix was gonna be our undoing because they were the number 1 seed, and then we just went in there and decimated game 7. But Tim, I think our shooters just had problems, hitting those shots. We didn't have Tim Hardaway Jr. And he would have been, I think, a big help in a lot of those different places.
It's like we were missing one player. It's like
it would have been Tim Hardaway Jr.
I think so.
Or somebody to keep the Warriors from penetrating into the paint.
Man.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, so a big man,
dominant big man.
Right.
We just did not. Well, it showed against the Warriors.
Right, it absolutely did. They took advantage of that big time. And I mean, we had Porzingis, right, but we traded him away for Dinwiddie and what's his name. And so, the thing about Porzingis, though, is that he wasn't ever healthy enough to really help us, unfortunately. Exactly. And so I didn't necessarily like the trade at the time. In hindsight, I thought it was better than I thought. And when you really think about it, he's just not... He wasn't... like I said, he wasn't healthy enough to really affect us. So again, the trade was good. It got us to where we were. I think at the end of the season, though, we were tired. Our guys were missing shots, and we couldn't keep up with the Warriors. Warriors were more fast-paced than us. They ran a faster offense than us. They were better on the defensive side of the ball than us. Big time. True. Luka is fantastic. But he needs to up his defense, Tim. His offense is great, but his defense not so great.
I would have to agree.
There you go. So anyway, post-mortem, look, the Mavericks have a bright future ahead of us. We like that Luka Doncic guy, but we couldn't pull it out this year. And congratulations to the Warriors and Celtics, right? Mm-hmm. So
it's going to be a good series.
Tonight's game 1.
I really want to see some of that. I think I'm going to be rooting for the Celtics.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, look, the Warriors. It's hard for me to root against the Warriors, too, man. Stephen Curry, man. Yeah. I'm just saying. Yeah. So I mean, golly.
When you need a bucket.
Yeah, exactly. It just when he turns it on,
you see him getting the ball. It's just like, oh my gosh, here we go. You know,
when he turns it on, you just can't stop him. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Now, he's sometimes a slow starter. You'll notice that. Like, he won't get off to it. But when you need a bucket, like you said,
the clutch.
Bucket is made. Right. Clutch, there's nobody better. So, it's going to be a great series, Tim. We'll watch it all. NHL, Dallas Stars got eliminated in that Game 7. It was heartbreaking. Went to overtime and... it was heartbreaking. I mean, golly. But at the same time, I don't know if you heard Rick Bowness step down, Tim.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a new coach next year. I think that'll be helpful. Some of our guys are going to be free agents.
Need a change.
Yeah, it'll be a changeover a little bit.
It's still what an exciting season. Actually felt like they deserved to win that. I think they played better that game.
They did.
They played good enough to win. They just didn't win.
Right, exactly.
This is what you say.
It is what it is. So, I mean, it was good. MLB regular season, Tim, I don't know if you heard, but 2 days ago, the Rangers were 500.
Yeah.
But we lost the last 2 games, so we're not 500 anymore.
500, right?
We're 2 under 500. So, but that gives me hope.
Yeah.
It gives me hope. So the Texas Rangers may have
a halfway decent season.
Yes. I'm planning to go. I've already got tickets to a June one with my wife's family, and hopefully we can go sometime in August or something.
We went for Father's Day last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So there we go. Let's see. USFL, is anybody still watching that?
I watch about 10 plays. Every time I turn a channel, I watch a play or two, and I change the channel.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't get into it.
Agreed. Okay, let's get to the live chat real quick. Eat, Drink, and Be Tammy says, I have a Jurassic Park arcade game that I'm interested in having refurbished. Are y'all in Texas? So, like Tim mentioned in the live show, we have not taken on any outside projects in a while. We basically just work on our games. And there's a couple of people we do repairs for here.
We're in East Texas.
Yes.
If you tell us specifically where you are, we probably know somebody in
your area.
In the area. Unless you're in East Texas, we're about it.
Yeah. So, but if you're in the DFW area, if you're in the Houston area, Austin area,
we can definitely point you in the right direction.
El Paso
or
area,
help you
San Antonio
with
area.
some ideas.
Right. So, USFL is okay, says Mr. Dwayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So, I'm not watching it. So.
I just can't. I don't know what it is.
I don't know if I want to talk about the next thing. Let's skip it. What do you
Okay.
think? Or do you want to talk about it?
We can skip
Okay,
it.
here, I'll at least say this. Uvalde, the whole thing that went down there was terrible. And, we're just really heartbroken over all of it. It happened here in Texas, which is always heartbreaking because it's like, we live here, obviously. And so it was rough. And, Tim, it hit me really hard. I mean, you think about it, I think it hit us all really hard.
Well,
so
every time I hear elementary school, my wife's an elementary school teacher.
Right.
And I can't think of what would that be like,
Right.
So, yeah, we won't dwell on it. Just know that, it's happening far too often. I don't know the answer.
Right. So the only thing that I had here was just that I saw a lot of people being really down on people who are offering thoughts and prayers, and I understand that a lot of people see that and they think it's really condescending. My thing is that for those of us who are believers, thoughts and prayers are a really big deal. And
Right.
so, I understand that a lot of you guys want action, and that's perfectly acceptable. I understand how you feel and everything. But just because you want action doesn't mean that you should take away from people who say thoughts and prayers. That's what my thing is. So it's like, look, I understand that completely, but like I said, when I say thoughts and prayers, I really do mean that. Too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, my heart literally breaks for those people. I like you said, I've got elementary school kids, and I mean, I couldn't imagine what would happen, if something like that went down at their school. And Tim's wife's an elementary school teacher at the same school my kids go to. And
Right.
So
it's like part of it. I do want to recognize there were heroes though, and people and teachers that risked their lives to save kids, and they got a lot of kids out. I mean, we tend to get caught up in the negative sometimes and think about the people who actually did save lives and went in there and faced whatever. I don't like the media coverage when we're hearing all kinds of crazy stuff that didn't even happen.
Right.
It's like, what? It didn't, just whatever it is. We've got to, as a society, we've got to get better than this somewhere.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, you can call for action. That's fine. Just don't dismiss people who honestly are putting their thoughts and prayers into things. Because I had a lot of friends who did that, Tim. Basically, they dismissed that. And it's like, look, it's not, don't tear down something else to build up your point.
Well,
just make your point.
Exactly.
And that's my thing. So don't tear down people saying thoughts and prayers just to make the point that you want action. Just make your point that you want action. And I mean, that's the thing. And so it broke my heart to not only what those people went through, but then to see the reaction of people just saying, well, thoughts and prayers are worthless.
I know, I can't. It's almost like I can't read.
Right.
I can't almost read comments sometimes. Even on our stuff, I think we get some criticisms and stuff. And, I take a look, and we're not always right. We're not always 100%. We do our best at the knowledge that we have, and we try to share that with others. But, I'm just tired of people being mean in general to each other, and whatever your belief system is, whatever you.
I have no problem with people advocating for things.
Right.
Advocate for what you want to advocate for. Don't tear down somebody else's saying or position because of that. That's my point, Tim. It's like, look, if you're advocating for action, advocate for action. You don't have to tear down people who are saying thoughts and prayers to advocate for action. See what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So,
or vice versa.
Right, or vice versa. People who are,
I do get there are people that flippantly say that, though, and don't put any thought or any prayers into it.
Right, I agree with
and
that, too.
so, we got to, at the same time, when somebody says pray for you, we actually need to pray for that person and really sincerely bring those thoughts before Creator or whatever, not just flippantly, I'm praying for you or whatever. The Bible talks about it's just say somebody be well and be fed and good luck to you. It says, no, go feed them. Go do something. So I think our thoughts and prayers should cause us to do action.
Right.
Should put us into action.
Right. And, I mean, that was, like, the biggest thing. I mean, it's just, it was heartbreaking to see not only what happened, but the response to what happened. And, you don't have to tear down other people to get your point across. Just get your point across.
But the fact that your kids will go through a training and stuff that I don't... You hear about the little girl that actually put blood on her to play dead?
No.
She took her schoolmate's classmate's blood and put it on her and played dead so that he would think she was dead. I'm like, she's 10 years old. The fact she thought of that, number one, is pretty impressive. But the fact that she had to even deal with that.
Exactly.
And the fact that she'll go through that for the rest of her life, it's like, what's wrong with us? What have we become?
And
it's
you said that. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Nobody wants this.
No.
There's not a single person who wants this to happen.
No.
And so, people tear down the left or the right or whatever. No politician. I honestly believe that no politician wants this to happen. That no sane person wants anything like this to happen.
Nope.
And so it's like we just all want to find a solution to it.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We all want a solution. And so let's talk about all of the options on the table. Every single option. I am open to listening to anybody who's got a solution to this issue. And it doesn't matter what I feel about it. I want to see everything. Give me the options and let's figure out a way to solve it. Done. Okay, I don't want to say anything else about it. Do you have anything else?
No, let's go.
That's my last. Okay.
We'll go back to
So
games.
look, everything is open. Nobody wants stuff like this to happen. Nobody wants it. Nobody does. So anyway. Okay, done. Eat, drink, and be Tammy. Sorry about that. We got sidetracked.
She says she's in Houston.
You're in Houston.
In good luck.
That's right. So go to the Game Preserve. Okay. There's several of our friends are owners there. They Eric and Rusty. And golly, who else is there, Tim? A lot of those guys, though, they can hook you up with somebody. Joe, they can hook you up with somebody who can do the restoration on your Jurassic Park arcade game. But the Game Preserve is going to be the place to be. There's a lot of collectors that hang out at the Game Preserve, and so between them, you'll probably be able to point you in the right direction. You can also go to Joysticks. And talk to Charles, and Charles may be able to put you in touch with somebody, or they may be able to do the refurbishment there. Joysticks is his business. It's real close to Minute Maid Park, which I've been to before. We've been to Joysticks several times. Charles is a good guy, so you can talk to Charles at Joysticks as well, and he can point you in the right direction of getting your game refurbished. So, is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Danny says they say the Top Gun should be watched in the biggest screen possible. I agree, and that's all. Movies are better in the theater. I even stepped in gum when I saw Doctor Strange, Tim, and it didn't dampen my spirits.
Didn't do it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, tell us about Doctor Strange. What was it like?
Okay.
So you've been really looking forward to this.
I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan, Tim, and I had heard somewhat negative reviews going into it. And so what I will say is that as a Doctor Strange fan, it was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Now, I don't know where I'd rank it. Is it dark? Absolutely. Would I let any child under the age of 13 go see it? Probably not, because it's got a lot of occult stuff in it. It's got a lot of demon style stuff in it. So unless your kid is really comfortable with that stuff, I probably wouldn't let them go see it.
Okay.
Now, if your kid's like the kind of kid who dresses up like serial murderers on Halloween, like from movies and stuff like that, then they're probably fine.
They can separate it.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But I mean, if most kids, I wouldn't recommend seeing unless they were over the age of 13.
Okay.
So, but with that said, it's good. And if you've seen WandaVision, it's really good because basically the storyline plays into that. The special effects are fantastic. The story, look, it's strange, but it's Doctor Strange, guys.
Right.
So I mean, you're getting what you should expect.
So not disappointed at all, right?
No, I loved it, and like I said, big Doctor Strange fan. I thought it was awesome. But it's not a normal Marvel movie. There are 3 jump scares in it. Okay, so if you're a horror movie person, that's not going to bother you at all. But if you're the kind of person who's not real big on horror movies like me and you get a jump scare, it may get you. It's no worse than a Jurassic Park movie, though.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Fair enough.
I was about to say, if you've seen Jurassic
Just be
Park,
prepared, right?
3 jump scares. So, there you
Hold
go.
on to your popcorn.
Right. Speaking of Jurassic World, Tim, I have been rewatching those movies because in a week from tomorrow, the new one comes out.
And I've kind of, in the last movie or so, I don't even know if I saw it, and I don't know why. All of a sudden, it's kind of piqued my interest again. I'm like,
the first Jurassic World movie was really good. They make the Indominus Rex, and he basically blows up the park. If you've seen that one, spoiler alert, I guess. And then the second one takes place. They move the dinosaurs, and then they make the Indoraptor, and that's all I'm going to say. So if you need a refresher on the Jurassic Park movies. But you should rewatch them. They are good movies. I like Chris Pratt a lot. He's one of my favorite actors, I would say. And
I think so.
You know, he's really good in those movies. Now I'm going to go back and watch Jurassic Park because, as you know, Tim, the new one has all the people from Jurassic Park as well. So I'm going to go back and watch that pretty soon. So I'm in the process of doing that. I saw The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum.
That looks good.
It is funny. It is really fun.
I want to see that.
And Tim, of course, I've been watching Obi-Wan Kenobi like everybody else.
Okay.
Fantastic so far. Really like it. Really like it. If you are a fan at all of Star Wars, and especially episodes 3 and 4, you got to see this.
I haven't not got to see it yet, so that's kind of on my
Sign up for Disney Plus for a month. Just to watch it.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
So, yeah. And here's the deal. If you sign up now, you'll be able to watch it all. It only has 3 more episodes. There's only 6 total. We've already seen Vader.
Okay.
Okay, is that a spoiler?
Right.
We've already seen Vader. No. Yeah, it shouldn't be a spoiler.
Right. Okay.
We've seen Vader. So, it's good. Now, Tim, you mentioned that you had seen Our Father on Netflix. And I saw it, but I have not watched it.
Okay. I'll just say it's just a very... I like those out-of-the-way documentaries that I just don't... Maybe you haven't heard the story or whatever. And like I said, it's not a spoiler, really. It'll just tell you the story of a lady, and she does her DNA testing. You know, that kind of popular now, and do a 23andMe or whatever, and see if she kind of felt like she knew she was adopted, and or she knew that... I'll say this. She knew that her parents had trouble conceiving and that her biological dad was, or she didn't know who her biological dad was. When she gets it, finds out that she may have a few siblings. And so, over 100, let's put it that way. So that makes it a little more interesting. You need to watch it to find out how she figures out that the guy running the fertility clinic was, he thought at the time, that nobody would ever find out. These women wanted to get pregnant so bad. Evidently, his sperm was quite good, and so he would use his sperm, make a donation, and use his sperm, and they would get pregnant. But what happened was you had this one area with a lot of people related to each other, and that becomes a problem down the road.
Right. And
now with DNA testing, they were able to determine, wow, you got brothers and sisters. You hope maybe you had another one or two out there, and the count is still going up on a daily basis. And since the movies come out, it's probably going to double. So anyway, if I just thought it was very interesting, and it was well produced. So I've been watching that. I've also been watching the new Staircase. Now, we really like the old Staircase,
the one on Netflix,
documentary on Netflix. Okay,
I have not seen the Colin Firth. Is this what we're talking about?
Okay, this is the one on HBO,
the Colin Firth version,
that is about
the dramatization
that has the documentary inside of it. So it talks about how he ended up signing and doing the documentary. And, I'll be honest, without spoiling anything, it's always been a mystery. I don't think the documentary ever nailed it down. I think at the end of it, I couldn't decide whether he did it or not.
The biggest thing, I think, the biggest thing from the documentary, and I don't know how it is on the show, was that his kids stood by him the entire time,
except for one. Yeah,
correct.
And that's the problem where they are even today.
Right.
And so. But I will say this, that one of the theories, when it comes out, I'm caught up with it. Now I would say out of really 50-50, couldn't decide, wouldn't surprise me if he didn't do it. Now I'm leaning for he didn't do it.
Oh, wow.
I will say that after watching this show, I am almost convinced if I was on a jury today, I would not convict him.
Interesting.
It's
on my watch list because we talked about this. We've talked about. So
if you were ever on the fence, I think this takes that spin. In fact, it really is about one of the filmmakers that believes in him so much that even at the end of the documentary will not let it go.
Wow.
And she actually like I said, not spoil anything. She takes it a step further and does not let it go.
Wow.
And I do believe that based on the evidence that she uncovers is amazing.
Okay.
This is great when people do their own police work, kind of.
Yep. Agreed.
And I think probably, and I don't blame the police. I think there's stuff that unless you just know. I mean, she really dug and dug and dug to figure out what could have happened to this poor lady. Either way. So, watch that. That is a good show. And then I shouldn't have started watching one last night because I was tired.
I know how that is.
And me and my wife started watching, is it called Pieces of Her? Have you seen this?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, it's on Netflix. I think it's called Pieces of Her because I always think of Pieces of Me, and it's Pieces of Her.
Okay.
And like I said, no spoilers here. You'll find out right away that it's about a mother and a daughter and their relationship, and a shooter attacks is going to kill a bunch of people, and the mother stops him in a bad A kind of way. And all of a sudden makes everybody go, where'd you learn to do that? It's like, and she's just like, who is this lady? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, your mom just doesn't do this.
Right.
Okay, doesn't defend everybody and take care of this. So that's what it's about, is what secrets are there. And you'll find out real quick that
martial arts class.
Yeah,
at the
she
Y,
is
right?
definitely. Yeah, she is definitely not who her daughter has been led to believe all these years. Huh. And so basically, that's where we are. And so watch that. Pieces of Me is very, very good. I watched 3 episodes, and last night we watched one. It was already getting kind of late. My wife's like, let's watch a little bit more. I want to see what happens, because every episode's going to leave you kind of cliffhanging.
Of course.
And then the next one, and I was like, gosh, this is so good. I'd rather be tired. I want to watch one. We're watching one more episode, and I guarantee you we probably watch another one tonight.
Wow.
And I like those shows that we both really get into.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to get into Obi-Wan or something that my wife is going, okay. Stranger Things, I'll have, and I really like this season of Stranger Things, too. It's really got me intrigued, but I'm not binging it. I'm just kind of letting it a little bit, just mixing it in, not killing my wife with nothing but it. And she's like, I don't know why you like this show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the best show ever, and it's the 80s, and it's everything, And occasionally some song will go, and she's singing along, and I'm like, see, you like it? She's like, I can't get into it. How can you not get into it? It's awesome. But anyway, have you been watching Stranger Things yet?
I made a pact to myself that I'm not going to watch it until it's complete.
Okay.
So I'm going to binge it.
That's what I was going to say.
Exactly. I'm just going to binge it through. So once it's done, I'm binging it.
Okay.
So here's the thing about Obi-Wan. Me and the wife are watching it together, and she likes it.
She likes it too. Okay, well, see, those are the hard ones to find. Yeah. That you can really both get into. Pieces of Me are one we both really like.
And then tomorrow is one that I only watched, but one that we talked about a lot. The Boys season 3 comes out.
Okay.
So I love The Boys. And then June 22nd, I think Only Murders in the Building season 2 comes out. Okay. Which is with Steve Martin Short, and what's her name?
I've watched a couple.
Selena, whatever.
I've watched a couple episodes. That is a funny show.
It is very good. And so season 2, I'm looking forward to anyway. So we're done. Thanks for joining us, guys, in the live chat. We're over time by usually we try to go for 8, but we went a little over tonight. But we want to thank you for staying tuned for the after show to the live show. Hopefully you guys had a good time, just talking movies and TV shows and all that kind of stuff. And then the live show was really great. I had a great time there.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for being here for all of it. It's always fun, like I said, you could have been watching Biden or the NBA Finals Game 1 or whatever else is on TV tonight, so we know you have choices. We want to thank you for choosing us. So, and thank you for the people who donated. We had donations tonight, Tim. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're out. You guys, happy 4th of July. Make sure you keep up with what you're watching. Let us know what you're watching in the next live after show, because we want to know. And we look forward to seeing you then. So 5 weeks. 5 weeks.
No prize for sticking around this long, but you definitely deserve one. Have a good night.
There you go. Night, everybody. We'll see you in July. Take care. Be safe out there. Enjoy your summer.